This guy steps out of the shower and freezes. His shadow is gone. At first he thinks he's just imagining things, but no matter where he looks, it's nowhere to be found. He searches everywhere, and still nothing. Then suddenly, he comes face to face with it. His shadow is just standing there, separate from him. For a second, he's completely freaked out. Is it alive? Is it dangerous? Is it about to kill him? But then he gets an idea. What if he can control it? So he hesitates for a moment and tells it to raise its hand. And it does. Instantly. Yeah. Something is seriously off. Lately, strange things have been happening to Jiang Yu. First, his eyes start hurting, and he begins seeing health bars above people's heads. Then it gets worse. He starts having these visions of the city in ruins, filled with monsters slaughtering each other, only for everything to snap back to normal like nothing happened. And as if that wasn't enough, he discovers a mysterious tattoo on his chest, radiating some kind of dark power. And now, he's got a living shadow that obeys his every command. This makes our boy excited, and he starts giving him more orders. My man literally makes his own shadow dance. After a bit, his head starts to hurt, and he starts to wonder where the shadow even came from. A strange glowing orb appears out of his chest tattoo and turns into a screen. The screen shows him the stats and attributes of his shadow. He only has a single ability called Shadow Devouring. He taps on the plus icon and it shows him more details about the shadow. In short, his shadow is an exact replica of himself, including his memories. The shadow will obey his commands, but it can't think for itself. Zhang tries passing his hand through the shadow and realizes that it doesn't have a physical body. He asks the shadow if it has all of his memories, and the shadow nods. Our boy immediately jumps to his table and takes out his math homework. He asks the shadow if it can help him with the homework. Jiang is a bit surprised to see that the shadow can actually hold the pen. This makes him question if he truly doesn't have a physical body. Since the shadow cannot think for itself, it fails to do the math homework and drops the pen. Zhang gets mad and tells him that he could do this homework in 2 minutes. He wonders if the test is too difficult for him. Instead of asking it to solve the questions, he asks the shadow to write the lesson from memory. This time the shadow gets to work and starts writing. Our boy thinks to himself that he doesn't even need to be a superhuman anymore since his shadow can basically cheat on tests. He might as well sell all of his books. Jiang can definitely see insane potential in him. He takes a look at the attribute panel again to find something else. He clicks on the plus icon below his shadow technique, and it reveals that he can absorb shadow points from all darkness. This will increase his strength and can also be used on dead objects. Jiang wonders how this thing actually works, since he doesn't know if he has to physically make contact with the darkness or the object. He starts looking around and notices the shadow in the corner of his room. He tries absorbing the shadow, but nothing happens. This makes him annoyed since the ability doesn't even have a manual or guide for beginners. Suddenly, a notification pops up that informs him that his eyes have undergone an unknown transformation. This grants him a new ability called Shadow Pupil, and he can activate this to see the dark side of the world. Jiang wonders if this is the same place he saw earlier. He decides to take it step by step and not rush things. As he is thinking about his new powers, he turns to his shadow and asks him to stop cheating. Instead, he orders the shadow to do some push-ups. The shadow gets up and starts disappearing into the ground. Jiang panics as he wonders where his shadow went. After a few moments, the shadow appears out of the ground again and stands in front of him. Jiang asks him where he is, and the shadow tells him that he is on the dark side. When he asks the shadow what he is doing, he reveals that he is exercising just as he ordered him to. Jiang wonders if it is more beneficial to practice on the dark side. He dismisses the shadow and gives him permission to go back. After the shadow leaves, he sits back on the table and prepares to do some serious work. The next morning, we see him sleeping on his desk, dreaming about food. He suddenly wakes up and feels his back hurting because he slept on his stomach. At the same time, someone knocks on the door. Jiang opens the door to meet his girlfriend and classmate Lu Yao Yao. He notices her health bar at 93 and wonders why it dropped at this time. He realizes that it's probably because of the pollution since his shadow came back from the dark side. He asks her why she came so early and she reveals that she heard about his new drawing. She wants to see his design collection. Yao Yao was startled as Jiang closed the door too fast. She gets a bit mad at him, but our boy stands there in shock as he notices cracks along the wall. He can't even believe his own strength. His girlfriend also looks in surprise and starts analyzing his whole body. After thoroughly scanning him, she asks him if he has been going to the gym. She dismisses her own question as she realizes that he is just a loner who hasn't exercised in years. However, it is still strange that he got such muscles overnight. She starts touching his muscles and asks him if he did something. Jiang denies it and says that he raises his bookshelves every day. Our boy realizes that the effects of his shadow exercising also show on his own body. His girlfriend doesn't believe that he got this body with such little exercise and thinks that he might be taking some enhancement drugs. She tells him that there is still time for him to turn back. Jiang mockingly tells her that she talks too much, and before he can react, she grabs him by the arm and starts to take out something from her back pocket. Jiang screams as he asks her if she is about to use some lethal weapon on him. Yao Yao takes out a wristband and tells him that it is an instrument that is used to test the pollution index. Killing alien races, ingesting foreign objects, and resentment can cause this index to rise. If the pollution within a person is not purified in time, it can cause them to turn into an abnormal form. Jang laughs internally as he hears this, since he doesn't think that the thing on his chest would have any pollution. His amusement turns into shock as the machine starts reacting with the chest device. He looks back to see his girlfriend with a gun who is ready to shoot him if necessary. He uses all of his willpower to try and calm down, which stops the reaction. The result comes out normal, and it shows no pollution in him. He sighs in relief as he realizes that he is safe. She mentions that her dad taught her to be careful with everything. Hearing this, Zhang tells her that he recently drew some famous comic characters and asks her if she wants to see them. Yao Yao gets excited as she wants to see the drawings badly. Later, Zhang thinks back and realizes how close he was to getting caught. He opens up the system window and reads a notification that his shadow has started exercising in the shadow world and has gained shadow points. As he continues reading all the notifications, he realizes that his shadow has grown a lot stronger. This makes him shocked, and he wonders if his shadow has been training all night. The shadow keeps on training, and our boy can already feel the results. However, he feels that these exercises are not enough, and he should make it even more difficult. He orders his shadow to do push-ups and planks. Those planks are not normal ones. He actually orders the shadow to push up with 2 fingers on one hand and push up in a tiger pose. Zhang makes his shadow do martial exercises and squats. He then increases the difficulty level of those exercises by including running with weights and abdominal exercises. Meanwhile, Yao Yao is standing outside the main character's room and hears him ordering his shadow. She assumes that Zhang is actually training, and all her doubts are too much. She is relieved to know that there is nothing wrong with Zhang. She goes back home to read some comics. The scene shifts to year 99 of the disaster calendar. The date is January 20th, and it's day 1 of obtaining shadow. The shadow keeps on training all night without feeling tired. Zhang gets stronger due to his shadow's constant training. Zhang thinks it's shameful for young people like him to be content with their current situation. The next day, he arranges more training for the shadow, and the results are amazing. He wonders if he can kill Yao Yao with just a single punch now, but he realizes that he has to work harder. His uncle Lee, who works in the night patrol, also visits him, but he does not notice anything unusual about him. Uncle Lee is getting old, and he has also lost his arm. Zhang thinks that he can kill 3 Uncle Lee and 10 Yao Yao with just a single punch. He works even harder the next day. He wonders that his life cannot go on like this, and he has to work hard to gain extraordinary abilities. He decides to strive more and more. On 24th of January, he makes his shadow train hard while he is doing his work. On 25th of January, he goes for the same routine. His shadow keeps on training and he keeps on working. On 26th of January, he takes the initiative to train himself, but he gives up on just 10 push-ups. However, the growth rate of shadow points is very slow. He has got 8 shadow points with his training, and he wonders how long will it take for him to get 10 points and activate the shadow possession. He assumes that he can improve faster if he enters the dark side himself. A black swirl emerges from his feet and takes him in slowly. He vanishes onto the floor and goes to the dark side. To his surprise, he is still in his room. He wonders if it is the actual dark side, as it's exactly like his room. He goes outside to explore the dark side. A few minutes ago, when he tried to enter the dark side, he only appeared in his room. Turns out he cannot get access to the dark side from his room. He has to go out in order to explore it. Therefore, he goes out. The dark side looks exactly like the real world. This makes him angry, and he keeps on walking. He hears a sound from behind and wonders if it's a person who is here to help him navigate the place. However, it's a strange creature that attacks him from behind. He dodges the attack successfully. The creature looks like a monster with red eyes. It again tries to attack Jiang, but he keeps on dodging all the attacks. The main character orders his shadow circle to open and jumps in the circle. Luckily, he exits the dark side through the shadow circle and escapes that creature. This scares him to death. He does not understand why that creature attacked him from nowhere. Luckily, training all these days has made him flexible enough to escape that creature. The main character plans on avenging that creature as he has tried to kill him. On January 28th, he again enters the dark side and fights with the same creature. This time, he gets hit. The next day, he again enters but fails to take his revenge. He gets badly hit on his chest this time. On January 30th, he gets hit 3 times and loses 6% of his HP. The main character takes a day off and decides to recover at home. Yao Yao is taking care of his wounds. She asks him if he had a fight with someone. He tells her that these scars are his medals. Yao Yao mocks his scars and tells him that he will become arrogant when his body gets stronger. Jang brushes her off and inquires about the upcoming martial arts test. The test is just a month away, and he wants to know Lu's plan for it. It seems like she has forgotten about it. In the disastrous year, most industries have become less popular, especially the cultural and art industries. Art-related practitioners have gone to the bottom of society. People are no longer interested in entertainment. They are now more interested in national affairs. Night guards have attracted a lot of attention and become the stars. Those who aspire to become a night guard have to pass a martial arts exam set up by the state. Candidates who pass this exam live on to have a special life. Yaoyao reveals that she does not want to participate in the martial arts exam. To Zhang's surprise, she actually wants to learn about music. Zhang encourages her to go and learn music, but he is not sure if her father will agree. Her father is a senior executive of the Night Patrol Department. His designation is equal to a second-generation employee who does not take the civil service exam but becomes an independent worker. Yaoyao is not worried about her father. She is actually dreading the new law that says this year as everyone has to take the martial arts exam and apply for it. Zhang does not seem surprised as the authorities do not care for their wishes. They have allowed students with average qualifications to apply for the general examination. Yaoyao tells him that the pressure on the night patrol has increased. If there is no accident, she will definitely take the martial arts exam. Zhang wonders about Lu's instrument that she brought to the test last time. He also recalls that there were so many subtleties on test day that he could not hide himself. However, he is hopeful that his little guide will not put him in the bad camps. He turns to Yaoyao and asks her if the reagent she brought last time can be used to prevent alien species. Yaoyao does not think that it can do so as the tool can only be used to detect aliens and supernatural beings. She adds that if he encounters a really different kind of alien, he can run as fast as he can and make an emergency call before he dies. Zhang wants to inquire more about that different kind of alien, but Yaoyao changes the topic. She informs him that his injuries have been healed and she will be back soon. Zhang coughs and asks her if he can get his hands on the basic paranormal information that her family has. Yaoyao wonders if he wants to take the public examination in the future. He clears that he wants to know in advance as the martial arts test is mandatory this year. He also reveals that he wants to create something about superhumans and alien blood comics. The idea of a superhuman comic excites Yaoyao and she wants to know everything about it. Zhang tells her about the initial idea. The comic is about a skinny boy named Ben, who gets bullied at school but he has a kind heart. With the help of his friends and teachers, he is selected by the Night's Watch and takes part in the Super Warrior Project. He relies on his extraordinary willpower. He becomes a powerful leader, Captain Ben, by transforming and receiving injections of the Super Soldier Serum. The Night Patrolman sends him to high-ranking gatherings instead of sending him to the battlefield. The Watchman wants him to get acquainted with wealthy families and noble ladies. Zhang keeps on narrating the plot for his comic while Yaoyao listens excitedly. Later, Yaoyao takes him to her house that is on the same street. They enter her room and she tells Jiang to wait as she wants to go to her dad's room to get the materials. While she is going, Jiang stops her as he has found a comic about sibling love. She tells him that it's not hers. Her friend has left it there. She goes away and cautions him not to touch her stuff. Once she leaves, Jiang wonders that she has not changed a bit. She loves music and is not willing to throw away her childhood musical instruments. He recalls that she always used to force him to listen to her music even if he was not interested in it. He plays on one of her tapes and recalls their childhood moments. Yaoyao enters and asks him if he has started liking music. The main character comes from childhood memories. She remembers that he wouldn't even recognize musical instruments in the past. He brushes off her remarks and finds a VR device. He wears it and falls down the abyss. The virtual reality looks real to him. That unknown world is full of taboos and dangers, which is a source of disaster. The aliens are born in this mysterious place and are constantly killing and destroying the real world. Zhang wonders if these species are the ones he saw in the hospital. Between the real world and the abyss, there is a shadow that is called the dark side of the world. The dark side is actually a part of the real world. Before the cracks opened in the abyss, the alien species had infiltrated the world through the shadow layer. The Night Guardians control their entry and exits, but there is still someone who has slipped through the net. Every 2 months, the shadow layer is reset to reproduce what they are currently seeing. At that time, the number of alien species increases greatly, and it becomes necessary to eliminate them in time. Considering the fact that Shadow Class would greatly weaken the combat effectiveness of humans, it is not recommended for people above the 4th level to go there. The visible range of the shadow layer is 3 to 5 meters, and the visible range increases with the improvement of strength. The shadow layer is really polluted, and humans can turn into a strange entity if they stay there for too long. However, Jiang wonders why Chia Yingyang did not feel any discomfort when he entered. The main character witnesses many alien creatures through the VR device and gets anxious. He now understands that in order to deal with the alien species, one must control a force that is sufficient to rival them. One has to be extraordinary if one wants to fight them. He now sees a figure and wonders if he is the extraordinary one. He does not really know if he can become like him if he passes the martial arts exam. The extraordinary people are primarily aliens with human bodies. Their task is to fight against pollution and aliens. Once they die, there is a high possibility of heterogeneity. Therefore, these extraordinary beings have to exhaust their strength before dying, or they can turn into deadly monstrous creatures. Jiang is overwhelmed with all this information and takes out the device. He tells Yao Yao that the information is really extensive and outdated. He asks her to give him a back massage. She gets angry at his request. He bribes her with 3 original Ultra HD drawings. She agrees and starts massaging him. She feels that his shoulders are hard. Zhang explains that his neck has become muscular as he has been working out. She inquires if he also does abs. He gets that she wants to touch his abs and he allows her to do so. While she is feeling his abs, her father enters the room and witnesses this scene. They all dine together, and there is a lot of tension between Jiang and Uncle Lu on the table. Yao Yao tells her father that he has a misunderstanding. Lu does not buy it as he has seen them together with his own eyes. Yao Yao has no words to say, therefore she shouts at Jiang and urges him to say something. The main character is also hesitant, but he somehow manages to tell her father that it is all his fault. Jiang then admits that he has done that and Lu can do whatever he wants. Lu, on the other hand, gets furious and looks for a knife. Yao Yao tries to calm down her father while Jiang tries to escape, saying Uncle Lu has a misunderstanding. Yao Yao and Jiang are childhood lovers, but they have different personalities. People see the main character as a notorious guy, while Yao Yao is an educated and likable young girl. Despite having opposite personalities, she has always loved playing with Jiang when they were young. He wonders if it's because he has once saved her from mean kids. He also thinks that she likes him because she glorifies his bravery and handsomeness. He remembers that she was willing to play with him even when he pretended like a homeless kid to prank others. He still recalls how she used to accompany him in his pranks, and her father used to scold her for hanging out with him. Uncle Lu has always been wary of him. Lu sits down on a sofa and stares at both of them with doubt. He lights up his cigarette and asks them about the scene that he saw when he entered his daughter's room. Zhang explains that he is looking for some information about aliens and supernatural beings. Lu, on the other hand, thinks he is spoiled. He asks him if he knows the actual reason behind keeping this information hidden in advance from the students. Zhang does not know the actual reason, so Lu explains it to him. Human souls are heterogeneous and are subject to deviation. Despair can drag a person to the abyss. There are some things that are not appropriate for everyone because not everyone has the willpower for it. Even if there is a small crack in the soul, alien races can exploit it to their advantage. Therefore, the government wants to assess the qualifications of the candidates before the official examination. Only people with physical health and willpower can contact the supernatural world. He also explains to them that the path to superpower is long and full of dangers that require patience and perseverance. He adds that every year so many people lose control of their powers even with assistive devices. All this makes him sad, therefore he advises Jiang not to learn about these things beforehand. Jiang appreciates him for the advice, but he also tells him that he cannot avoid it as this year is the military comprehensive examination. Moreover, he thinks that it's better to rely on himself than others. He also tells them that having someone to rely on can come in handy when the world is collapsing. Before Lu can tell him otherwise, he gets a call for an urgent mission. He gets ready to go. Before going, he tells Jiang to be a gentleman. He also warns him that he will kill him if he does something wrong. Jiang tells him to not worry, as he will not do anything wrong with Yao Yao again. Yao Yao is not happy with his statement because she thinks they have never done anything wrong in the first place. The scene shifts to a busy day. People are out on the streets for their daily chores. Jiang has also come out of his house and is standing in front of a screen. The screen displays members of the Sunset Watch who have the responsibility for guarding the Sea of Clouds. The main character seems a bit disappointed with the amount of information he has received on the supernatural. While doing his groceries, he thinks to himself that he will not be able to access the information again as Uncle Lu will keep it hidden. Meanwhile, he gets a call from Yao Yao who tells him to bring milk and eggs. Jiang replies in a teasing tone that she should clearly state if she needs pads. He grabs her pads and goes out. While going back home, he is thinking about his upcoming test and the effects of his shadow's training. The shadow exercises are effective, but it would not be enough alone. Therefore, he decides to add some other practical exercises as well. He has frequently seen advertisements about fighting against the aliens. In addition, this year the number of students will be higher in the martial arts exam. He looks up at the dark sky and gets a feeling that something really bad is going to happen in this world soon. He realizes that it's better to not think about this yet and focus on evolving by fighting with the alien races. He looks around to confirm that no one is watching him. Once confirmed, he enters the dark side. As soon as he enters, he realizes that someone with 14% HP is marching towards him. When he comes near the main character, he recognizes him. He is a young boy who lives on the same street as Jiang. He is injured badly and is about to die. Jiang asks him about his presence in the dark side, but before he can answer, he falls down to the ground. Soon, the monstrous creature appears from behind the boy. It's the same creature that Jiang wants his revenge from. Jiang also sees a little boy and girl who are hiding from this creature. He now understands that this creature is the reason behind the boy's low HP. The realization makes Jiang angry, and he gets ready to take on the monster. The scene shifts back to the time when the young lad came to the dark side. He is a night guard who is coming back from his overtime duty. He is tired from his long duty hours and work pressure. He regrets taking the martial arts exams as he would have not done it if he already knew about its work pressure. He suddenly hears a call for help. When he looks carefully, he witnesses that 2 kids are being drawn towards the dark side. The young boy wonders if it's an alien species that is pulling people towards the dark side. However, as per information, alien species only come to this world and create disturbances. He has never heard of a situation where people are being drawn towards the dark side. The kids are still shouting as they are being drawn into the dark swirl. The young lad assures them that he will save both of them and runs towards them. He holds their hands and the darkness engulfs all of them. The darkness swirl throws them at the other side. The kids cannot understand where they are and they start crying. The young boy finally realizes that he is on the dark side while he is off duty. He does not even have his weapons or the pollution control equipment with him. He is sure that he is going to get killed today. Before he could do anything, he encounters a monstrous alien. The kids get scared and he attacks the creature. Surprisingly, it disappears, but the young boy realizes that there is no way he can go back. He looks around and gets that the place has a lot of alien species. Those aliens can attack them anytime. The boy has worked so long as a government employee that he has almost forgotten all the fighting skills he learned during the martial arts exam. Worst of all, he is with 2 little kids in this dark world who are dependent on him for their survival. Both of them are crying. The boy can only send the distress signals through his wristband and wait for help. He sends the signal and removes his band. The band can help those 2 kids fight the pollution temporarily. He thinks there is no point in keeping the band with himself, therefore he gives it to the little kids. The little boy asks him if they will survive and he answers that they will surely survive. He advises him to hide somewhere safe as he has to fight the creature first. The young boy recalls that he passed the military strength exam at 18 years old. He passed it and entered the Great Powers department at the university. He also remembers that he worked hard on his foundations during his first year of university. He wanted to become a fighter one day. The boy still recalls the day he defeated an unclassified alien during his second year at the university. But he soon realizes that hard work has no value over natural talents in the world of superpowers. The young boy did not believe in fate. He worked hard, but in the end, he could not push his limits. He had no choice but to leave the military forces department and become a regular employee of the Night's Watch. The boy comes out of his thoughts and realizes that the monster is approaching him. It is a 4-dimensional, mid-range, and first-class half-animal monster. The monster attacks him, but he is able to counterattack it. The attack feels a bit familiar to the boy. However, just then, the monster catches him off guard and attacks him. The boy could have avoided the attack, but his body would not keep up with his brain. The monster attacks again. The boy dodges the attack and tries to run away. His body becomes heavy, as if countless needles are piercing his body. Therefore, he must finish the creature before the pollution can kill him. He prepares to hit the monster and uses his shadow power of blindness to attack. The creature falls down as a result of the young boy's attack. However, the boy starts to bleed as the pollution is getting worse. Every time he uses his superpowers, the pollution also increases. People like him who have weak willpower and low qualifications cannot use supernatural powers multiple times. Luckily, the boy has only used his ability a few times since becoming a civilian. The monster is ready to attack him, and he is resolved to fight till the end. The monster attacks him with full force and he falls down to the ground. He coughs blood and is surprised at how quickly his opponent has gotten used to his strengths. The monster, however, is an average class species, and any university student from the martial arts department could have easily killed it. He wonders if his lack of talent is the reason behind his struggle against this creature. He realizes that he cannot win against it, but as a night patrol, he has resolved that he will not give up till the end. The only thing he can do is to buy time and wait for support to arrive. While he is looking at the scared kid, the monster hits him. He falls down to the ground again, and this time he feels like he is going to die. He recalls that he witnessed the death of his close relative at the age of 15. They all died at the hands of the alien species. That's the reason he has chosen to join the military forces at the age of 18. He also recalls that at the age of 20, he had to leave the combat department after he finished his second year. Later, he joined the night police as a trainee at the age of 21 and became a regular employee. It's now been 4 years since he joined the night police. Despite challenges, he regards his life as ordinary in this world. Human beings and alien species have been fighting for 4 years, but everything has not been as peaceful during these years as it is advertised. They have always wanted to escape reality, but no one can deny it when they encounter the dark clouds. The young boy thinks that death is the normal state of affairs for people with superpowers. But he is not going to give up yet as he has to protect the kids. He takes a blue pill and stands up with a new surge of power. He gets ready for a second round with the alien. The young boy takes the lead and starts attacking the monster continuously. The alien monster cannot defend his back-to-back attacks. The boy is still hopeful that he will finish the alien if he holds on a little longer. But in the end, the pollution gets onto him, and the alien attacks him. He cannot withstand that attack and drops down to the ground. His head starts bleeding and he can see his end. He realizes that he cannot end the creature just because of his abilities. He feels helpless as he could not even win with the help of pills. He can see that his normal and boring life is going to end. Just before he gives up, he hears Zhang's voice. He wonders if he is a night's watchman, but his voice is too young, he does not seem like a watchman. He is surprised at the presence of a normal human being on the dark side, as it's highly unlikely. Jang approaches him and holds his shoulders. He tells him to lie down for a while and leave the rest to him. The young boy is still thinking about Jiang's presence on the dark side. No one can enter the dark side as it's strictly controlled by the inspection department. He wonders if Jiang is the mystery man who is living on the dark side. Meanwhile, the alien attacks Jiang and he slides away. The boy realizes that he is so weak. The alien monster tries to attack the boy, but Jiang attacks it first. His attacks bring down the alien's HP from 24 to 23. He warns it that it should not attack the boy as its opponent is Jiang. He gets ready to attack with a glass bottle in his hand. He breaks the glass bottle and uses it to scare the alien. He has already fought it before, so he knows the way it fights. The alien is seriously injured and its speed and strength are much weaker now. Jiang fully understands that, and is ready to show that the preference is all his. The alien gets angry and tries to attack Jiang again. However, Jiang dodges the attack successfully. The young boy cannot figure out if Jiang is weak or not. However, he surely knows that even if he does not have special techniques, he can exceptionally suppress his opponents. Jiang, on the other hand, is adamant about taking his revenge on that creature. He gathers all his power and attacks its waist. The alien attacks in response and throws him away. He realizes that attacking its waist puts it in defensive mode. He sees that the monster is running towards him. He questions himself about what he should do, as he will die after 2 more hits. He would have left the dark side and come back later if he were alone, but he cannot leave as he has to save the kids and the boy. He then notices that the alien's HP has dropped to 20%. He thinks to himself that at this HP he should not be afraid of it, and should be tougher enough to kill it today. The boy advises him to attack its right rib as it is seriously injured. Jiang agrees and starts running towards the alien. The alien hears it and gets alerted. To its surprise, Jiang attacks it on the left side, saying it neglected its defense on the left after hearing the boy's instruction. As a result of this attack, its HP drops to 18%. The alien tries to run away, and Jiang wonders if it is trying to escape. The boy instructs him to hurry up. To their fear, the alien is going to target the kids. The alien approaches the kids. He opens his mouth and is ready to kill them. They get really scared and call for help. Jiang picks up a soda can and throws it with full force toward the alien. The can hits the alien on his face. Meanwhile, the other guy regains a little strength. He jumps up high and hits the alien on his head. This attack brings down the monster's HP to 15%. The young boy coughs more blood and looks up. The monster is about to attack him, but Jiang grabs it from behind. He is about to kill it. He bites the alien on its neck, which brings its HP down. He also pulls on its hair and taunts it that it should keep on barking. Its HP drops to 11%, and Jiang is adamant that he will not let it eat people anymore. Soon a ball-like structure appears in the monster's chest. At first, the main character gets confused, but he soon realizes that he has to attack the ball if he wants to kill it. Jiang attacks the ball with full force. A huge explosion happens and the alien dies. The body vanishes with all its dark energy and takes away all the chaos it created. Jiang starts bleeding, but he stands up in relief. He can see that the other guy is also bleeding and is sitting on the ground with the kids. Jiang is happy that he has finally taken his revenge. Suddenly his vision starts to blur and he goes into complete darkness. Jiang finds himself in a chaotic world. There are dead bodies and injured people all over. The place is burning, and he wonders if it's the gathering place. He does not know how he got here. He finds himself surrounded by hundreds of aliens that are ready to attack him. They all attack him at once and he shouts. The sun is high and it's the dark side of the world. Some people are clamoring in the lights and some are shouting in the shadows. Everyone is fighting and people are dying. Some people know and some do not know about the real great death. Jiang suddenly gets his vision back and he hears the young boy who is asking him if he is alive or not. Jiang confirms that he is alive and is relieved that everything he saw earlier is actually a dream. He does not remember anything after he killed the alien. He touches its body and realizes that it's a shade-eating alien. The young boy asks him if he is fine, as he is not saying anything. Before he can say anything, he realizes that the boy's condition is very bad. According to his blood volume standard, he could still be saved as he still has 10% HP. As per the standard HP system, human beings with 10% HP are considered near death, and there is a slight chance of their survival. The boy requests Jiang to help him lean against the wall. They both sit down leaning against the wall. The boy asks Jiang if he is a night watch. The main character is surprised at the fact that the boy does not recognize him despite living in the same building. He assumes that the boy might not have seen him enough around the building, which is why he does not know the main character. Jiang replies that he is not a night patrol. The boy tells him that the way he struggles to kill that first-order alien species, he must not be a night patrolman. He laughs and adds that not all night patrollers are strong. Jiang wonders if that guy does not know how to say thank you, as he has just saved his life. The boy then smiles and tells the main character that he did great. He again mocks Jiang by telling him that he never saw someone use a bottle of soy sauce to get rid of an alien. He keeps on joking while coughing in between. Jang wonders how he can be in such a good mood after sustaining all the injuries. He also wonders if all night guards are always in such a good mood. The guy asks Jang about his age and university. He tells him that he studies at North Metro Academy and has just started his sophomore year. He lies to the boy as he does not want to share his personal information with other people. Turns out the other guy also studies in the same university, so he asks for Jang's department. Jang seems confused, so the guy plans to not ask him any more questions. But moments later tells Jang that he assumes he should be in the martial arts department, as anyone from liberal arts cannot deal with the first-level monster. He keeps on talking and asks Jang for a cigarette. Jang does not have it, so he offers biscuits. The guy takes it and tells Jang that he is stingy. The main character tells him that he had plenty of them, but they broke down during the fight and are scattered all over the place. He offers to give some of them to the guy if he still wants them. The guy refuses to eat them from the floor. A few minutes later, he asks Jang if it is his first time fighting an alien on his own. Kin tells him that he is right. The guy reveals that he sometimes envies the martial arts department, examination, and even the combat department, as they are very lucky. He himself is unlucky as he has poor qualifications and weak willpower. He considers himself hopeless, as he cannot increase his power even after taking Yuan Wang, a pill that can increase combat effectiveness. Zhang tells him that it's better to stop talking and save some energy, as he has to wait for the rescue team to arrive. The guy tells him that he just wants someone he can talk to. He goes on to say that the willpower of civilians like him is so low. No matter how strong they are, their hearts are weak. They cannot resist the pollution for long. Jang asks him if he has regrets about taking the martial arts track. The guy clenches his fist and reveals that he badly regrets it. He is a clerical worker who can fish around work and talks to girls when he has nothing to do. He also gives training to new night patrolmen, and that is it. He thinks he got into a whirlpool and now he has no way out. He coughs again and Jiang tells him to be easy on himself. This way he will not be able to survive. The guy tells him that he had sent the rescue signal a long time ago and the rescue team should have been there by now. He is also worried about the kids who are now lying down on the ground. Jang stands up, but the guy warns him that there are other alien species that can attack him. He also mentions that the main character will not be able to dodge them with his skills all the time. He asks him to sit down and talk to him until the rescue team arrives. Zhang thinks to himself that this guy is good at torturing people instead of the aliens. Zhang stays and listens as the man talks about his past, telling stories about how brave and fearless he was. The man smiles and tells Jiang that if he ever goes back to university, he should send his apologies to the head of the Supernatural Technologies Department. He wants to apologize for not meeting his expectations since he wasn't able to kill even a first-class monster. The guy also asks him to thank Deputy Director Huang from the Academy of Supernatural Literature for her guidance. He admits that her advice to not act arrogant in class is really embarrassing, as she always talks about passing the torch and the survival of the human race. Zhang jokingly asks him to wait till he gets a notebook or come back later to explain everything himself. The man sighs, saying he has kept all these thoughts inside for a long time and just wants someone to talk to. He mentions that it would be nice to visit Northern Watch Academy again. Then he asks if Jiang has more of those cookies left. He seems to like them a lot. Jiang tells him that his taste is weird enough, and besides, he can't find spicy stick-flavored cookies anywhere in the world. The guy simply smiles and tells him to forget it. Suddenly, the energy in the air thickens, and the man says that the night patrol has arrived. Jiang is relieved because now they can help this man. He picks up his package and prepares to leave when the man asks if he wants to go with him. Jiang declines, saying he'll get there on his own. The man smiles and wishes him a safe journey. Jiang thanks him and starts walking away, but just as he is about to leave, he looks back to see the night patrol officers approaching him. The officers report that they have found a night patrol member and 2 children. They check his vital signs. His blood level is still at 10%. One officer looks at his colleague and shakes his head. Jiang notices the man's health bar is dropping rapidly. He wonders why this is happening. With modern medicine, they could have saved him. As he is teleporting back, he notices the officer stopping to salute the guy. He reaches his hand out, but it is too late and his health has already dropped to 0. However, there is a smile on the man's face. Jiang calls out, asking them to wait, but he is already teleported back to the street. People around don't understand what just happened. Some think the man is an actor. A screen appears with a broadcast from the night patrol, reminding special individuals that they must never give up, even in their final moments. If they realize their chances of survival are low, they must take a pill carefully, knowing the risks. The chance of death after taking it is 90%. Even if they survive, their lifespan will be significantly reduced. This pill is called Compound No. 3, and it is the same pill which that guy took to take down the monster and save the kids. The broadcast continues that they must remember those who have fallen and keep moving forward until all threats are eliminated. They must patrol the skies and Earth, protecting everyone day and night while hoping for a better future. The night patrol must face the unknown and fight against the unexplainable. Later, our boy rides the elevator, still wearing bloody clothes, and wonders if that man really died. He kept making jokes while talking, but in the end, all he wanted was someone to talk to before he passed away. No flowers, no applause. He simply disappeared like an ordinary person. Jiang thinks to himself that it doesn't matter how ordinary he is, he will always remember him. Exhausted, he decides to take a shower and go straight to bed. In the mirror, he sees that his health bar is at 55%, but he can barely stand. This makes him a bit surprised since he thought that he was at 20% healthy. He remembers that the man was at 10%, but he was still acting like nothing happened. It seems that training the body alone isn't enough. Willpower is just as important. Suddenly, a loud voice interrupts his thoughts. His girlfriend, lounging on the sofa, asks him about the eggs. The phone isn't working and she can't find anyone, so she questions if he brought the eggs that she asked for. Zhang turns away to hide his bloody clothes and mentions that New Year is coming. Due to this, stores have long lines where people wait for hours. Then, he asks how she got into his house. She tells him that he orders takeout every day, so Uncle Lee asked her to take care of him. He was the one who gave her the key. She notices his bloody clothes and asks what happened. Was he in a fight? Zhang insists it's late and tells her to go home before Uncle Lee gets the wrong idea again. But she grabs his arm and makes him turn around. He tries to brush her off, saying he's just hungry and wants to make instant noodles. Through the holes in his clothes, she sees his wounds and gasps. She asks him how he got hurt so badly. Zhang becomes nervous and awkwardly says he forgot to buy eggs. He explains that on his way home he saw a robbery, so he stepped in and fought the guy. He mentions that he beat the guy pretty badly, so she doesn't need to feel sorry for him. Later, when the police arrived, they found the attacker in such a terrible state that he was barely recognizable as human. His girlfriend doesn't seem to buy it, so he demonstrates his insane reaction speed and does some shadow boxing in front of her. He continues yapping and says that he beat the guy so badly that even his own mother won't recognize him. As he is talking, Yao Yao gently touches the marks on his face. He loses his mind as he realizes that there is no way she would believe anything he just said. Yao Yao asks if it hurts, but Zhang only sighs and says he wants to sleep. She insists they should tell Uncle Lee everything since he was fighting with people in the middle of the night. Zhang quickly makes excuses, claiming it wasn't a fight and he was just acting righteously. But she isn't convinced. Too exhausted to keep going, Zhang sinks to the floor, admitting he is too weak to move. Yao Yao frowns, saying he needs to go to the hospital, but he waves her off. He assures her he has everything he needs at home, and even claims his medicine is better than anything a hospital can offer. She raises an eyebrow at him and asks if he just wants her to apply medicine for him. With a smirk, he calls her Dr. Liu and asks her to patch him up. The moment she starts, he screams in pain, begging her to give him medicine instead of wrapping him up like a mummy. Annoyed, she smacks his shoulder and asks if he plans on doing this again. He quickly promises it won't happen again, but refuses to swear on it. Yao Yao clenches her fist, threatening him, but Zhang nervously laughs and mutters that fighting is simply human nature. He tells her that if it's a big deal for her, he will simply look and not go in. Hearing this, she prepares to punch him and asks him what he just said. He repeats himself, promising to stay out of trouble and simply watch from the sidelines next time. With that, Yao Yao turns to leave. As she walks away, Zhang calls after her, suggesting she stay the night since he has a big bed. She sticks her tongue out at him and slams the door behind her. Lying down, he tries to rest, but he can't stop thinking about the man he met in the shadow world. The guy asked him to pass on his message to guard the Northern Watch Academy. After a bit of silence, Zhang gets up in shock as he realizes that he didn't even ask the man for his name. At that moment, the system notifies him about the creature he killed in the shadow world. It belongs to the ghost species and is at the first level. The creature is from the lower abyss, deeply connected to shadows and darkness. The system warns that anyone marked by this being will be vulnerable to hidden attacks. Zhang managed to kill the creature with an arm fracture. Zhang receives shadow points for the kill. He wonders if his kills will be recorded somewhere, or if he needs to absorb the shadows through his Shadow Devour skill in order for them to be recorded. He suddenly notices the system window for his new skill. The system explains that his new skill, Shadow Assault, is an invisible attack that enemies can't detect, with the first hit dealing devastating damage. Curious, Zhang stands in the middle of the room and speaks the skill's name aloud, but nothing happens. He frowns, wondering if the system is bugged or if he simply needs a target. Either way, he decides to test it later. Opening his stats window, he reads through his information. His name is Jiang, his attribute is Shadow, and he has accumulated 14 Shadow points. He has now become Rogue, a class that specializes in striking from the shadows. His abilities include Shadow Devour, Shadow Eyes, and Shadow Form. Zhang reads the description for all this stuff and wonders how the system even managed to create these game lines. Just then, the system informs him that his shadow has undergone a transformation. Now, he can fully control it and even merge with it to create a special form. Zhang narrows his eyes and wonders if this is a new skill again. The system confirms that the shadow form is now available to him. By training in this state, he can become stronger. His aura will blend into the darkness, making him nearly invisible. While he can use shadow form outside the shadow realm, it will drain his shadow points. This form doesn't have any fatal body parts, which means that even if he gets beheaded, he won't die, and it will only take out a huge portion of his health. Zhang is stunned after reading all this. That last ability sounds like a miracle, But then he spots a catch. If he gets beheaded, instead of dying, his health will drop down to 1%. So in other words, bro just got scammed. He screams as he thinks that it is better to just die on the spot than have a delayed death. Still, it's a useful skill, and he decides to try it out. Summoning his shadow, Jiang raises a finger. Instantly, the shadow beneath him mimics the movement perfectly. Jiang's hand touches the shadow, and it immediately spreads over his body, completely absorbing him. As he examines his new form, he wonders if this is really his body. It feels unfamiliar yet fascinating. Letting out a sigh, he suddenly takes off, dashing across the room in an instant. The force of his movement sends objects flying behind him. He realizes how fast he has become and feels a thrill of excitement. Testing his strength, he lifts the bed effortlessly, raising and lowering it with ease. To push his limits further, he picks up a 100 kilos hammer and strikes himself in the face. The impact does nothing. His body remains unharmed. He laughs in excitement as he realizes just how powerful this new form is. A voice from downstairs interrupts his thoughts, shouting for the noise to stop. He is satisfied with his shadow form and goes back to normal. Opening the system window, he notices something intriguing. He comes across an option that can be activated. He wonders what it means and taps to read more. The description explains that he has only acquired partial authority in his class and has not awakened it yet. After his activation, this will become a class-exclusive ability, and no one else will be able to awaken it. However, it also mentions that there might be risks involved with the activation. Jiang hesitates. The word risk appears in red, making him reconsider. But then, another message reminds him that risks often lead to opportunities. After a moment of contemplation, he selects yes. As soon as he confirms his choice, black matter emerges from the system window and moves toward him. His expression shifts from confidence to panic. Before he can react, the substance engulfs him, forming a cocoon around his body. A medicine bottle slips from his grasp and crashes to the floor. The lights flicker in his apartment as a single drop of medicine hits the ground. The system displays a new message, declaring his status as a hunter. A system notification appears saying that if he doesn't excel in hunting, he will perish in it. He is a born hunter and his attacks will do more damage. More system notes appear. The first states that weapons such as guns, bows, and poisons will not benefit from the extra damage. The second warns that secrecy is crucial. His reputation as a killer will determine his success. The third note is ominous. Even gods cannot escape. Hong examines his hands and thinks about what he just read. At the same time, another notification appears, explaining that activating shadow form significantly enhances his killing ability. He will require less blood to maintain his strength, and when an opponent's health drops low enough, he can execute an instant decapitation. When the threshold is reached, the health bar of the target will turn crimson and he will be able to see their fatal spot. By attacking this spot, he can initiate the execution and eliminate the target. The system further explains that his decapitation skill depends on factors such as blood level, strength, and the opponent's abilities. This makes him recall his previous battle. Was this the same skill that activated when he took down his last opponent? The thought lingers as he processes the new information. With absolute damage and execution skills combined, he almost feels invincible. With these abilities, victory is almost certain. He raises his hand triumphantly, but then something feels off. He remembers that the system said something about risks. Jiang quickly unwraps the bandages on his body, expecting to see wounds. Instead, his skin is flawless. Confusion sets in. His injuries should still be there. Even the deepest cuts have vanished. Medicine does not work this fast. A realization forms in his mind. His enhanced recovery must be linked to his shadow form. The next day, Yao Yao's friend asks her if she saw Jiang's fight and questions if it was true. On the screen, his profile displays a selfie with a caption claiming he was struck 88 times during a fight. Yet the image clearly shows no injuries. She tells her that Jiang sent her a message saying that he encountered human traffickers. He was holding a watermelon knife and fought off from one end of the street to the other without even blinking. The other friend, still looking at the phone, wonders if Jiang was hurt and suggests checking on him. Yao Yao listens quietly before shaking her head. She then explains that there is no need for concern. Jiang was not in a fight. The only thing that happened to him yesterday was being chased by a dog. She thinks that he is just trying to brag to everyone. The three of them finally reach his home, and she asks them to go in and check for themselves. As she tries opening the door, her friends ask her how she got the keys. She panics for a second and quickly mentions that Uncle Lee gave it to her. She opens the door expecting to see him covered in the bandages, but she is shocked to find him sitting on the floor in pain. She immediately runs over to him and asks him why he removed his bandages. Hong explains that he removed it because he thought that the wound was healed. The friends realize that he wasn't just bragging and actually telling the truth. They are impressed by his muscles and start touching him, but Yao Yao pushes both of them outside and asks them to wait in the living room. With this, both of them are convinced that Jiang and Yao Yao are dating. Yao Yao starts applying some medicine to the wound, which makes Jiang twitch in pain. She asks him to stop whining since she is familiar with this medicine, and it doesn't hurt. However, my man doesn't care about anything she says and continues staring at her legs. She notices this and warns him that she will just let Xiao Pang apply the medicine for him. Jiang immediately rejects it and says that the guy is clumsy. She pinches his cheeks a bit too hard and says that Uncle Lee hasn't taken care of him for too long. She asks him what happened the previous day since she doesn't believe the robbery story he told her. He tells her that he is righteous and likes to stand up for justice. However, his girlfriend isn't ready to believe a single word. He wonders what he should tell her since killing a mutant in the shadow layer and chatting with a dying night patrol officer sounds even more insane. He mentions her dad and asks her if he went back yesterday. She tells him that he didn't go back and asks why he is asking. Jiang looks down with a worried expression and explains that he thinks being a night patrol officer is quite tough. They have to work during the day and even at night, which is dangerous. Yaoyo sits there in silence as she hears this. He looks at her and thinks to himself that she must be worried about her dad. Being a night patrol officer is not a peaceful job. Uncle Li lost an arm in the profession, and the guy he met in the shadow layer died at the age of 20. Even someone as strong as her dad has suffered serious injuries, which means that he can't make any further progress in this lifetime. Yao Yao looks at him and asks if he is going to join the night patrol after clearing the martial arts exam. He thinks for a moment and reveals that he isn't sure. He then jokingly asks her if there will be any beautiful girls on the night patrol, which makes her annoyed. Meanwhile, the two friends try to listen into their conversation from the outside. The two of them wonder what is going on inside. The two of them finally walk in. Zhang asks them how they got here, and they tell him that they wanted to know what was going on with him. They tell them not to worry and ask them to sit down. As they both sit down, Zhang starts yapping again and tells them a made-up story. His girlfriend thinks that he is just trying to show off again. She tells him that she is going to the supermarket and asks him if she should throw away his clothes since they are torn away. Without even looking at her, he tells her to throw them away and continues with his story. However, he suddenly realizes something and leaps towards Yao Yao. He frantically tells her to wait and mentions that he has something else in his clothes. In an anticlimactic manner, a bag of sanitary pads falls out of his shirt. Yao Yao looks at it with a confused expression and asks him why he brought it here. Jiang nervously scratches his head and tells her that he bought it from the supermarket yesterday since she told him that her stomach hurt. Meanwhile, one of the friends takes a picture of this moment to share with her entire class. Jiang hands over the bag to her and asks her if she needs anything else. She furiously throws the bag back at him and says that she doesn't need anything. He acts confused and asks her why she is getting angry all of a sudden. The two friends think of this as a usual couple fight and decide to leave. After everyone leaves, Zhang is free to test out his skills. He commands his shadow to merge with him and prepares to start a fun exercise. Zhang gets enveloped by a dark substance, and he travels to the shadow realm using his shadow. Despite the place being filled with pollution, he feels remarkably comfortable. It is the same feeling as a person who has been living in a polluted industrial environment for a long time, and they get to visit some vast plains. He is currently at 60% health, but all of his pain is gone and his health is also regenerating. A bright current starts surging from his body as he prepares for his exercise. He feels like his body has unlimited strength. In no time, he begins doing hundreds of push-ups. The system notifies him that his dark form has entered the shadow layer. He starts gaining shadow points for these exercises, and it increases his strength further. With each of these push-ups, his body grows a bit stronger. He stops at 1,000 push-ups and decides to go outside. The outside world seems eerily empty. He thinks to himself that he would have a lot of disciples if he were this strong in the real world. He then starts doing bar exercises using only one arm. Meanwhile, in the Night Patrol headquarters, an important meeting is about to commence. Executive Liu sits there while a guy presents him with a report on darkness fluctuations. He informs him that the range of fluctuations in the darkness is wide and the oscillations are abnormal. Pollution levels have also risen, and it is spread across a larger area. Some of their squads identified similar cracks in other regions as well. A girl continues with the report and states that the distribution of these fluctuations is more concentrated in residential areas this time. This is a bit strange since these fluctuations were randomly distributed previously. The report says that unusual activities have become more frequent in the past few days. 4 abnormal incidents have occurred where people have been dragged into the shadow layer to the dark side. These incidents are rare, but nobody knows if they will increase in the future or not. Abyssal fissures are more dangerous as compared to the disturbances caused by the shadow layer. If one compares the creatures of the shadow layer to the ferocious wild beasts, the abyssal fissures will win as Godzilla can also come out of it. Suddenly, Uncle Lee, who has been sitting there all along, joins in the meeting and comments that these all are just suspicions, so there is nothing to worry about. He also mentions that they have been preparing for combat for so long. Everyone, including Executive Liu, gives him a glare, so he tells them to carry on with the report. The report carries on and also discusses the list of night guards who have lost their lives recently. Once the meeting ends, Liu stands in front of a large glass window. He takes out his cigarettes and wonders why these unusual activities always happen around the new year. He takes the cigarette and looks for a lighter. While looking for flame, he realizes that his daughter has swapped his cigarettes with cookies again. Meanwhile, someone throws a pack of cigarettes towards him that he blocks with his hand. It's Lee who tells Lu that he should not always have a stern face. He also offers him a cigarette, but Lu refuses, saying he does not want lung cancer. Lee mocks him, saying that he is afraid, but the executive tells speak up if he has stayed late just because he wanted to ask something. Lee informs him that another notice has been issued from above. Lu inquires about the nature of the notice with a tense face. After hearing about the notification, Lu seems really tense. He asks Lee if it has been confirmed. Lee tells him that he should have received it on his computer too. He turns on his computer. Lee asks him if he has already decided which direction his daughter would go. He asks if she will specialize in extraordinary supernatural sciences or humanities. Lu replies that he has not decided yet. He plans on waiting till the abilities test. The emergency notification says that candidates with 2nd grade or higher in the exceptional supernatural abilities category, except for exceptional circumstances, must take the abilities test and select specialized exceptional abilities. The executive asks Lee about Jiang's future plans. He adds that he does not think Jiang is an honest person. He wonders what he will choose among different categories of supernatural studies. Lai replies that he will not take any of them. The executive is surprised and asks if he plans on making him specialize in studying extraordinary human sciences. Lai tells him that he wants him to take regular human sciences. Lu thinks he is joking, as he has not even tested his abilities yet. Once he passes the test, he will be forced to major in the exceptional human sciences. Lee stands up and reveals that he does not want him to take the test in the first place. He then goes out for a stroll, leaving Lu behind with his official matter. Meanwhile, a girl with pink hair enters with a pile of files. She enters and apologizes for the disturbance. Lu does not bother and asks her what brought her to his office. She shows him a notification that has been sent from the shadow layer. The notification is about a new type of strange creature. The creature is a respectful shadow that exercises intensively. It is black in color and resembles a shadow. The report says that it was first seen in the garden of the Xingyu Residential Center. It is presumed that the shadow has accidentally invaded that area. It has a keen interest in exercise and uses tools for training. It also has a low aggressive tendency. The report mentions that the creature offers its greeting when it is approached by the explorers. The risk assessment for the shadow is low, and its kill record is none currently. The secretary with pink hair informs the executive that the monitoring team has found this peculiar type of being near the residential area. There are no records about it in the database, so she wants to ask for the executive's opinion. Lu has not seen such a creature before. The scene changes to the shadow layer where Jiang is filming a spider. He tells everyone that the spider has more protein when compared with the same amount of rice. He goes on to say that the spider meat is tender and delicious. Anyone can easily grill its surface using heat. After taking one bite, one will feel that it does not taste like beef or lamb, but it tastes like spider meat. He then posts the video. He regrets that he did not know people were interested in snapshots from the shadow layer's scenery. Now he knows it and thinks it won't be long until he becomes famous on the internet. After posting his video, he comes to know that a lot of people are already creating content about exceptional abilities. It feels strange to him as he was not allowed to post such content online. Just then he receives a notification that he has to go hunting, otherwise he will die. John gets frightened and bashes the notification. Meanwhile, he comes to know that his remaining lifespan is only 100 hours. He gets anxious as his life has only 100 hours left. Jiang does not even know why the system is even giving him this notification. He remembers that opening the class abilities carries certain risks. This can be a risk of opening the assassin. He soon composes himself and looks for a way out of this difficult situation. The description in the notification tells him that as a hunter, he has to continue hunting if he wants to extend his life. He realizes that he can stay mortal if he keeps on hunting. He also reads that even if his body disappears, another form of existence will remain. He does not understand the actual meaning behind this line. He also does not understand why the notification says that he will be happy when he wakes up in this place. He plans on asking Uncle Lee for help if he fails in successfully killing a strange creature. He looks at the spider and knows that he has to kill it first if he wants to buy some time. He also decides to capture all this as it will make him famous. He places his phone at an angle where it can film everything. He does not have a fear of getting caught as his account is a secret one that he has received from the Night Patrol Bureau. He merges with his shadow and starts streaming. He has several monkey coins and he plans on confirming their reliability. He greets all his followers and introduces himself while live streaming. He tells them that he has encountered a strange creature. His followers start commenting as they are excited to see him with the spider. He cautions them to not make any noise and starts approaching the spider slowly. He remains silent as the spider is sleeping. He takes out his iron stick that he has bought after paying a hefty amount. Soon the spider wakes up, but it does not notice Jiang due to his shadow form. His next step is to use the execution skill and find its weak point. He finally sees its weak spot and decides to finish it. The scene shifts to half an hour ago where the spider is alive and has just arrived in this world. It really loves the environment of the world. There is no pressure like the abyss, and there are no other dangerous creatures. The spider considers itself a weak creature and wants to be cautious. He recalls his fight with a strange fellow of the same species a while ago. The spider got injured in the fight, but it got a good meal. It plans on sleeping for a bit to regain its strength. While sleeping, it gets disturbed by a boy and gets to know that he is going to attack it. But the strange thing is that it cannot see the boy. It changes its sleeping spot considering this place as unsafe. Meanwhile, Jong hits it with the iron rod and feels the shadow points seeping out of his body. He gets to know that he should be struck at certain points to extract his full power. The spider has only 40% HP left as a lot of its blood has been shed. Jang plans on going for another hit, but before that, he gets hit by the spider. But to his amazement, he does not feel hurt. The spider is losing a lot of blood, and Jinog realizes that it's because of his direct hit to the weak point. He then uses his shadow attack skill and is in awe of how it sneaks into the darkness like a thief. He realizes that there is no need to face the spider directly. He can just wait for the right moment and strike. He prepares for his final blow and the hunter-prey pursuit. The scene changes to a girl holding a phone and watching a broadcast with a man announcing that the night patrol is protecting the city's people. He greets the viewers and explains that he is on duty today. His topic is the construction of low-ranking others. The girl scrolls through her feed and moves to the next live broadcast. In the next broadcast, a girl with green hair appears. She greets everyone and shares that she is visiting a small restaurant in an alley. The girl kicks her legs in the air. She scrolls to the next broadcast. A man admits that he has been busy lately. Another girl says she is helping her family. On a bed, there is a jacket, underwear, and a magazine. Another blogger mentions that her lighter is like family to her. If she can't pick it up, she is doomed. The white-haired girl who is watching the live stream starts getting bored. She complains that nothing interesting has happened recently, but suddenly she finds something exciting. She watches Jiang's broadcast, where he introduces himself as Yu from the northern capital. On the screen, strange creatures fly across the sky, and a monster leaps from one rooftop to another. She immediately sits up in surprise. She gets excited and can't help but wonder if those monsters are real or just special effects. Our boy, who is streaming by the allies Yu, points to the side and introduces the creature behind him, a shadow spider, an ancient ghost of the first rank, the weakest kind of other. Comments flood the screen. Some admire Yu's looks, calling him handsome and cool. Others complain about their own problems. One girl wishes she had more money to buy him gifts. Ignoring the comments, Yu explains that the shackles on the spider produce terrifying sounds that ordinary people should never hear. The white-haired girl frowns at the comments and gets annoyed. She calls the commenters idiots, criticizing their rude behavior online. If only their parents could see what they were posting. Then she suddenly pauses and quickly starts typing her own message. Yu transforms into a shadow and vanishes into the darkness. The girl is shocked. She wonders if he is actually some kind of exceptional being. This makes her smile as she realizes that things are becoming more interesting. Yu reappears behind the spider and throws a metal rod at it. The monster roars in pain and rises on its hind legs. A bright red beam shoots from the ground, piercing the spider. It stumbles to the side, surprised by the mysterious attack. Yu then lightly touches the monster, and when it turns angrily, he grins and says, "I'm here." The spider lunges at him, but he dodges every attack. He mocks the spider and says that it can't even hit him despite having 8 legs. The white-haired girl, watching from under a blanket, excitedly comments on how fast and handsome Yu is. The spider suddenly releases a large purple beam, covering the ground with acid. It laughs, thinking Yu is trapped. But then Yu's voice comes from above. He asks if the spider really believes he is helpless just because the ground is covered in acid. The monster looks up and spots him on a rooftop. Yu simply says that no place is devoid of shadow, and then jumps down. The spider tries to overpower him with acid, but Yu moves through it effortlessly, even phasing through buildings. He declares himself a hunter of the shadows. Picking up his metal rod, he says that endless killings have clouded his memory, and he only remembers his own name. Suddenly, he drives the stick into the spider's head. The creature groans in pain. He continues destroying the spider and announces that his name is Yu. He places his palm on the dead spider and uses the shadow-swallowing skill to absorb its darkness. Black energy absorbs the spider's body and transfers it to Yu. White ribbons wrap around him, forming a flowing white cloak. He knows the hunt is over. People watching the broadcast are stunned. They feel like they are watching a superhero movie with some even falling in love with him. The girl excitedly presses her phone to her chest. She hasn't seen anything this thrilling in a long time. She quickly visits his profile. His name is listed as the Killer Yu. He has 722,000 likes and 89,000 followers. She decides she must catch his attention. She presses the follow button and thinks that maybe she can contact him. Then she sends him a message asking if she can add a star to the assassination mission with a high reward. Meanwhile, the system reveals details about the shadow spider. It was a first-level, middle-rank creature, part of an ancient demon species. Its body markings indicate its power. The more complex they are, the higher the pollution it spreads. Staring at it for too long is dangerous. The spider's abilities include an acid net and ancient demon corruption. Killing the spider causes sensory disruption. Thanks to Shadow Bite, Yu gains 2 things. First, the ability to create a shadow net and the shadow points from the creature. However, he feels disappointed. This monster was only first level middle rank. He thought it was stronger. In reality, there was a huge power gap, and he only won by using the shadow attack. Yu checks his phone and sees 1.5 million viewers. He grins. So many people are watching him now. Chuckling, he ends the broadcast, saying that's enough for today. He wants to leave them curious. Suddenly, a black thread wraps around his arm. Confused, he realizes it's the shadow net ability. Testing it, he shoots the net at a building and is lifted into the air. At first he panics, but then he starts laughing. Bro literally turned into Spider-Man, but his excitement is short-lived. He crashes into a wall and falls, landing on a street lamp. Groaning, he realizes that he needs to practice this more. An information window appears in front of him. It states that his lifespan has increased by only 3 days, bringing his total to 7. He frowns. This is less than he expected. Even though he has 7 days left, finding other creatures isn't easy, and he needs more backup. Suddenly, another system message appears. It is reminder number 3, which states that a hunter must hide in the shadows. The more he hides, the higher his reputation. The system informs him that he will unlock new hunter powers due to the increase in his reputation. Now he can mark his target, making it easier to find weak points. The system explains that he can mark enemies based on their fear and other negative emotions. However, the duration of a mark is only 1 second. As his reputation grows, this time will increase. Each mark costs energy and exposes his location, so he must use it carefully. Additionally, when hunting a marked target, he gains extra agility and strength. If he successfully hunts them, one of his attributes or abilities will improve. Unlike marking, hunting doesn't drain energy, but since the hunting time is tied to the mark's duration, he must kill his target quickly during the hunting time to enhance his negative reputation or status. After reading the message, he rubs the back of his head, trying to make sense of it. He wonders if the authority is now unblocked and when the person became famous. Looking at the number of viewers, he speculates that the sudden attention might be due to a live broadcast. If that is the case, he decides to hunt others, gain more subscribers, and discover new abilities. With this approach, he believes both his strength and skills will improve. Determined to push himself further, he resolves to try harder today. Suddenly, he notices a red mark and starts wondering what it could be. As he looks around, he spots a massive purple monster with spikes along its back standing behind one of the buildings. Overcome with excitement, he lets out a joyful exclamation, realizing that he has found it. Without hesitation, he jumps off the lantern and lands on the ground, beginning the hunt. His grin widens, taking on a slightly unhinged expression. The scene changes to an apartment building where our boy receives a strong hit to the face. The force of the blow makes him jump up, grab his cheek, and cry out in pain. The attack comes from Yahello, who stands over him, demanding an explanation about what is going on and whom he has been fighting this time. Without waiting for his response, she takes out a disinfectant and applies cotton wool to his wound. He tries to calm her down, insisting that he is going to become a hero and that she wouldn't understand. Hearing this, she asks him if he knows any hero who is covered in injuries every single day. She tells him that he is just trying to show off without having any real skills. Without giving him a chance to argue, she stuffs cotton into his nose, warning that he shouldn't get involved in such things unless he has the right skills. He clenches his teeth in frustration but then turns away, confidently stating that he can heal his wounds in seconds using his shadow form. He clarified that he hadn't activated it just so she would have the chance to help him. Her expression shifts to curiosity as she asks him what he means by that. Trying to change the subject, he grabs a water bottle and suggests they watch a movie instead. She casually replies that there isn't much interesting to watch. As she picks up her phone and scrolls through some movie titles, she mentions that a certain YouTuber has recently gained a lot of attention. Her face turns red with embarrassment as she brings up the topic. Noticing her reaction, he asks her about the YouTuber. Without answering directly, she holds up her phone and urges him to look at the screen. To his shock, he sees his own shadow introducing itself as You, a memory loss assassin from the shadows. The sight leaves him speechless, causing him to choke on his water and start coughing. Concerned, she asks if he is okay, wondering if he is really that surprised. Trying to compose himself, he hastily reassures her that nothing is wrong before hesitantly asking if she has been watching it. She enthusiastically confirms, saying she has been following it for 2 days already. The blogger has quickly become the most popular and unusual figure online. Feeling uneasy, he scratches the back of his head and asks if that is really true. While the idea sounds exciting, he wonders whether publicly posting such content could lead to legal trouble. Realizing how fast he has gained attention, he begins worrying about the night patrol catching him. Noticing his nervousness, she advises him to keep quiet about what he knows. She assures him that his current situation doesn't have much impact on public perception, so everything should be fine. Instead, she suggests that he watch a real fight with some mutants. She grabs his hand and moves closer, excitedly asking if he thinks the blogger is cool. She insists that he should take inspiration from him. Feeling embarrassed, he remains silent, staring at the phone screen. She continues insisting that he watch another video, explaining that another blogger has already started analyzing his recordings. Seeing her excitement, he smiles slightly. Then, out of nowhere, she turns to him and asks if he thinks she could become famous too. He avoids her gaze and jokingly asks her if she wants to record herself wearing a JKT outside and dance in the shadow layer. She tells him to get lost and says that she can just record videos explaining the supernatural. Hearing this, he asks her if she really thinks she can compete with the experienced Night Patrol seniors just by reading some information. He adds that if she steps outside in such an outfit, she will easily get tracked by stalkers. At this, she frowns and shoots him a menacing look. He points at her and says that he lost one last time. She gets confused and asks him what he means. Before he can respond, she suddenly appears behind him, pressing a gun against his back. Sternly, she asks if he has been injured while stalking someone. Startled, he raises his hands in surrender and desperately insists that he is only joking. Unconvinced, she pushes him with the muzzle of the gun and angrily demands how she is supposed to know if he is telling the truth. He tries to defuse the situation, addressing her as an officer and pleading for a break. However, she firmly refuses, ordering him to get up and prepare food. Exhausted, he collapses onto the sofa and opens his personal messages. Finally, she is gone. Just as he relaxes, something catches his attention. He notices a flood of new messages from people asking who he is and why his videos are being posted. Some question if he is connected to the Night Patrol or if everything is staged. Others want to know if there are more pictures or if the footage is edited. Amidst all these messages, he notices some people mentioning him and saying that a guy named Real Deal has just exposed him. This makes him curious, and he goes over to his channel. He clicks on the link and suddenly sees an old man broadcasting on his channel. He greets everyone and says that they are not exploring shops today, but are instead dealing with a scammer. The guy asks his audience if they have seen the video and if it looks real to them. He tells them that they will watch the video first and then analyze it frame by frame on a computer. It is the same video of Jung fighting the spider. The old guy pauses the video at a specific frame and asks the audience if they can notice the discontinuity between both frames. This means that the video is edited. He then points to the background and mentions that it has also been edited to cover the unrealistic parts. Jung is confused since this guy is supposed to be a food blogger who goes to different restaurants and gives his reviews. He wonders why he is trying to leech on his popularity. He only cut off a few embarrassing scenes from the video, and he is getting criticized for it. The guy then explains why he has decided to review the video. He turns the phone around and shows them the authentic tag on his profile. He claims that he is a member of the Night Patrol and has once killed countless monsters. Because of this, they can spot a fake instantly. However, they soon move on to another discussion. Jong presses the comment button on his phone and sees users flooding the chat with messages. Some doubt that the footage is fake, questioning how something like the shadow layer could be fabricated. Others wonder why the video needs editing if it is real. Was the entire story false from the beginning? Some refuse to call the video fake outright, while others point out issues with certain objects. One commenter expresses that they trust the Night Patrol more. Jong smirks, thinking that they are all fools who fail to understand anything. However, he believes that one day they will learn the truth. Standing up from the sofa, he stretches and remarks that if the video is indeed fake, then it is time to start hunting others. But before that, he needs to teach the old blogger a lesson. He decides to move back into the shadow layer and thinks of all the titles he can add to his new video. After getting transported to the shadow realm, he takes out a mini camera and attaches it to his jacket. He notes that the number of creatures seems lower than the previous day. The shadow layer, it seems, resets itself from time to time. Suddenly, something catches his attention, and he asks himself what is happening. He senses a level 6 creature who wants to ambush other mutants. Gripping the club in his hands, he grins and prepares to see what someone of the 6th rank is capable of. The hunt has begun. Taking a step to the side, he stands at the edge of a rooftop but suddenly stops. Letting out a small sigh, he trembles slightly before deciding to descend the stairs, reminding himself to stay calm and avoid any sudden movements. A powerful killer like him is not meant to rush. He is a special kind of hunter. As he climbs down the stairs, the creature he spotted earlier emerges from the walls, letting out a loud roar. He pauses and puts a mark on the target, causing a magic circle to appear in front of the creature. The monster immediately becomes wary. Observing this, he feels that everything is going according to plan. The marked target is supposed to experience a deep, inexplicable fear. He notices that the monster bears a striking resemblance to another creature he has encountered before, one with deadly blades. He wonders if it has evolved. He then says that it doesn't matter since the same kind of transformation has happened to him as well. Without hesitation, he uses the 6th staff technique, wielding his blade before striking the monster directly in the stomach. The creature's blood level drops to 45%, which immediately puts him on alert. Taking a step back, he leaps high into the air and initiates the hunt. The system promptly reports that the mark and hunt ability has been activated, temporarily increasing his strength and agility. Its duration is 1 second, and if he kills the target within this period, he will gain additional rewards. He swings his weapon at the monster once again, but it dodges the attack and he ends up hitting the building behind it. A bright light illuminates the surroundings. He looks back in surprise to see the monster completely unharmed. Shocked, he pushes off the building's wall and continues his pursuit. Finally, he lands directly in front of the creature, which lets out an eerie screech and flails its appendages in different directions in an attempt to intimidate him. He hesitates for a moment before the monster suddenly opens its mouth and lets out a weird sound. Jang's head starts to feel dizzy, and he wonders if the mutant is launching mental attacks on him. The monster suddenly slashes him and he fails to block the attack. He clears his throat, lands nearby and looks down at his hands, realizing that the monster is quite powerful. He notes that his blood level has dropped to less than 66%, as he has already lost 34% in a single attack. As the monster charges at him again, he quickly understands that its attacks are incredibly strong, and that he needs to come up with a strategy. The mutant tries to hit him, but he starts dodging all of its attacks and even taunts it. The battle between them intensifies, filling the area with loud, echoing sounds. The monster continues advancing, and suddenly it stops right in front of him. It extends strange appendages from its mouth, but Zhang is nowhere to be seen. As the monster searches for him in confusion, our boy takes advantage of this moment. He rushes forward and calls it a fool for falling for his trick. He thinks to himself that despite the creature's evolution, its skills have not changed. This is still his territory, and today, the monster will not gain the upper hand. With that thought, he launches a series of attacks, striking the creature multiple times. The monster roars in pain, but he remains unfazed. He gives it no chance to attack and continues his offense. Slowly, his punches start cracking the mutant's face. He jumps up in the air, and before he can deal the finishing blow, he stops. He looks at the mutant's face again in shock as he notices the night patrolman looking back at him. He can't believe his eyes as the guy in front of him was taken away by the night patrolman. Zhang wonders why he has turned into this form. The monster lets out a deafening growl, breaking him from his daze. Feeling uneasy, he quickly steps back. Without hesitation, the creature turns and flees in the opposite direction. Zhang instinctively yells for it to stop and immediately gives chase, insisting that he only wants to talk. After running for some time, he eventually slows down, gasping for breath. His mind races as he tries to understand what just happened. The system's voice echoes in his head, informing him that he has successfully located his prey. Still standing, he reads another system notification stating that his hunt was nearly successful, but that his prey disappeared at the last moment, resulting in a failed attempt. The system warns him that repeated failures will weaken him and shorten his lifespan. Deep inside, he knows that only through constant hunting will he grow stronger. This is the only way he will gain authority and power over death itself. Yet, in that moment, he finds himself questioning the meaning of life. He wonders whether it is all about hunting or if there is something more. He remains silent as the system repeats its message, warning him about the inevitability of death and how he must always be prepared for it. The constant reminders begin to frustrate him. He punches the system interface in anger, demanding that it stop. His irritation grows as the system repeats itself again and again. Eventually, he loses his temper and shouts for it to stop tormenting him. His mind lingers on the idea of heroes, those who sacrifice themselves to save others. He questions whether all of them eventually end up like this. Lowering his hand from his face, he catches sight of his reflection, and suddenly wonders if dying would turn him into a monster as well. At that moment, magical energy surrounds his entire body, illuminating him with an otherworldly glow. Clenching his fist, he makes a firm decision. There is no turning back. He must continue hunting. He has now reached the Cloud Sea gathering place in the East Zone 1. Glancing at his phone, he shifts his gaze toward the sky. He recalls news reports stating that anomalies frequently gather in this area, so there is no need for him to worry. As he speaks, shadowy blue sparks and dark energy swirl around him. A black hole forms above a nearby building, and he steps through it, instantly appearing on the rooftop. Looking around, he quickly realizes that the number of anomalies here is far greater than he expected. However, he notices that they are not bold enough to step outside the buildings. A sudden noise catches his attention. He turns toward the source of the sound and spots a creature glowing with a bright purple hue on the rooftop opposite him. Observing it carefully, he determines that it is an incredibly strong monster. However, he also notices that its leg is badly wounded, causing its health to drop significantly. Taking this as a sign of opportunity, he tells himself that he will not back down. Stepping out of the shadows, he moves closer to the monster. The creature notices him immediately and retaliates by launching a series of magical energy orbs in his direction. Before they can make contact, he swiftly vanishes and reappears within a thick cloud of dust. He quickly realizes that the monsters here are far more alert than those he has encountered in his own territory. This monster in particular seems especially sensitive. As he observes closely, he notices the red spots on its body slowly fading. He considers whether this is due to its heightened awareness, but then he dismisses the thought. Instead, he tells himself that he needs to find a way to keep the creature distracted. As the monster shifts its position, he senses an opening. Deciding that it is the right time to act, he focuses his gaze and activates his ability, marking the monster as his target. A glowing magic circle appears around his eye as he watches the creature with growing intensity. Meanwhile, back at her home, Yao Yao prepares food while keeping her back turned to the doorway. As the door opens, she thinks that it's Jiang, so without even looking back, she tells him that he is late and asks him where he was. When she looks back, she is surprised to see her dad and Uncle Lee in the house. Yao Yao is startled to see her uncle and father standing behind her. Her uncle gives her a sharp look and asks if she is cooking for Jiang again. Her father responds, saying that it seems like he has been raising his daughter for someone else's family. Yao Yao grins and dismisses his words as nonsense. She asks why they are back so early. He explains that work at the office is finished, so they decide to leave. Since they rarely get to eat together, they are thinking of going to a restaurant for a nice meal. Yao Yao tells them that there's no need for that because she's almost done cooking. Her father scratches his head in confusion, and her uncle suggests that they go to a restaurant another day and sit together for this meal instead. Then he turns to her and asks about Jiang. She replies that she doesn't know and says that he may have gone out to play. Just as her uncle is complaining about how outrageous it is for him to have fun while leaving Yao Yao behind, my man suddenly bursts through the door. He shouts that he's starving and can't wait to eat. Quickly taking off his sneakers, he asks from the entrance what Yao Yao has cooked today, commenting that the smell is incredible. In a cheerful mood, he announces that he bought her favorite candy, but he was bitten by a big dog while buying it. Uncle Lee grabs his head in frustration, and the room falls silent as everyone stares at Jiang. He freezes when he realizes that the whole family is home. He puts the lollipop back into his pocket and makes an excuse, saying that he got chased by a dog on his way here, so he is a bit disoriented. Uncle Lee raises a hand and says that since it's rare for them all to have time together, there's no need to ruin the mood. He invites everyone to sit at the table. As Jiang sits down with him, he pats him on the shoulder and reminds him that it's okay to fight since he is still young. As Uncle Lou pours a drink into a glass, he casually remarks that he sees nothing wrong with a young man showing off in front of the girl he likes. Then, he brings up something he saw earlier and says that he saw him walking with a girl. As he asks him for her name, Yao Yao quickly replies that she is Yu Zhou'er. Their father nods, agreeing that she is quite good-looking, bright, clean, and with a nice figure. He says that if he was younger, he would have done anything to date a girl like her. After that, he raises his glass, suggesting a toast. Jiang, feeling uneasy, wonders how his uncle can say such things in front of Yao Yao. She turns red but agrees to the toast. His dad notices him sitting still, so he tells him to raise the glass. Jiang looks at Uncle Lou with a smile, and without hesitation, he drinks everything in one gulp. Uncle Lou grins as he decides to let him show off a bit. Jiang urges him to start eating since he's out all day and probably doesn't get the chance to eat home-cooked meals often. Uncle Lou chuckles, agreeing that this is a rare opportunity. He then comments that since Yao Yao often cooks at home, it's no surprise that her skills are top-notch. However, Uncle Lou suddenly looks at her with surprise. He doesn't believe it one bit since he always has to order takeout when he is at home. It seems like she puts a lot of effort into taking care of Jiang Yu, preparing a variety of dishes for him. Jiang looks at his uncle with a smirk on his face as he realizes that he has won this round. As they continue eating, they raise a few more toasts to each other. After some time, Yao Yao and her father prepare to leave. Near the door, Jiang wishes them a safe trip. His uncle exchanges farewells with Uncle Lou, who grins at Yao Yao as she waves goodbye. As the door closes behind them, Jiang picks up a bottle and asks him if he's thirsty. He replies no and sits down on the sofa. Jiang approaches him while drinking water, letting it drip from his face. Lee sits silently, staring into the distance, before suddenly revealing that he has a question for him. Our boy is caught off guard and asks what it is. His uncle looks at him seriously and asks if he has awakened his abilities. This sudden question shocks him, and he stares at him with his eyes wide open. Bro tries to play it off and asks him what he means by awakening abilities. Uncle Lee tells him that he has been serving in the night patrol for 20 years, and he can recognize the injuries on his body in a single glance. He asks him what actually happened. Jiang sits back down and tells him that it happened half a month ago. His uncle then asks him how he awakened the powers. Jiang turns to Lee with a smile and asks if he is being interrogated. Lee, holding a cigarette in his hand, reassures Jiang not to worry and just talk. Jiang appears thoughtful and admits that he doesn't fully understand the situation since they have suddenly woken up. Lee then questions whether the event has occurred on its own. He mentions that such incidents are extremely rare, happening only about once a year. Jiang stretches out his hand and says that it might all be thanks to his talent. However, Lee frowns and gives him a menacing look, making Jiang feel uneasy. Lai mentions that there will be a test this year, and everyone is required to pass the martial arts exam. Jiang acknowledges this and assures him that both he and Yao Yao are already aware of it. Lee seems surprised and asks if Yahello knows about it as well. He then speaks about how, in recent years, the night patrol unit has been under immense pressure, with the number of casualties continuously rising. He offers Jiang a backdoor by telling him not to participate in the martial examination and to take the college entrance exam instead. Hearing this, Jiang asks him what he means by backdoor. He doesn't understand how his uncle can casually say something like this. Lai explains that Jiang will have the choice to enroll in one of several universities. He suggests that if he likes comics, he can join the art department or another suitable field without any problem. Jiang has never realized that his uncle is so influential. Stepping closer, he hesitantly asks if, instead of enrolling, he can simply take the certificate. Lee suddenly slaps Jiang and shouts in disbelief. He declares that Jiang will attend the Winter Academy since the environment there is ideal. He assures Jiang that once he completes his studies, he will arrange a stable job for him, allowing him to live a happy life with Yahello. Jiang holds his head in frustration, questioning why things have to be this way. He tells him that he still wants to try to become an extraordinary. This only makes Lee angrier as he shouts that Jiang has to obey him. Lai calms down for a moment and stands in front of him in silence. Jiang still refuses to listen and tells him that if he tries to offer him a backdoor, he will report him to the Night Patrol Bureau. Lai makes a confused expression as he tries to comprehend what he just said. They stare at each other in tense silence before Lee finally sighs and tells Jiang that he is not joking. He warns him that the world of special individuals is far more dangerous than he can imagine, and he should focus on his studies while letting him handle everything. Jiang, however, remains firm, insisting that he is also serious about this. He points out that danger surrounds them everywhere, and besides, he can't protect them forever. A heavy silence fills the room again before Lee finally looks away and exhales deeply. He tells him that he will likely regret his decision after he truly understands it. However, before his junior year, if he ever wants to change his mind, he can always reach out. Jiang asks him not to get involved in those crooked paths in the future. Hearing this, Lee starts walking towards the door. As he is about to leave, Jiang suddenly calls out to him, asking him to wait. Lee turns back and questions what else he wants. Jiang then recalls something he has recently read in the information shared by Yahello. It states that special individuals can use all of their powers before death to prevent themselves from turning into something else. He then asks him if it is still possible for someone to transform, even after exhausting all their strength. Lai remains silent for a moment before finally confirming that such a situation can indeed occur, especially if a person possesses certain abilities or if there are external interferences. Lee asks him why he is bringing this up, to which he simply scratches his head and says that he was just curious. As Lee puts on his shoes near the exit, he reminds Jiang that if he chooses martial arts, he will eventually have to face those things. He advises him to rest early and stop fighting. Jiang agrees, saying he will listen. Before stepping out, Lee informs him that the martial arts test this year is early and will start after the Lunar New Year. Jiang asks if it will really happen so soon. Lai confirms it and tells him to prepare before finally leaving the room. We go back to the white-haired girl as she receives a notification on her phone. It informs her that the blogger she is following has uploaded a new video. Excited, she grabs her phone to check out the video. However, she also notices multiple comments from users who dismiss the video as another deception. Many believe that the Night Patrol uses real knives and weapons to eliminate the monsters, whereas the blogger merely relies on video editing to gain popularity. Another guy is mad that Yu has started doing brand deals. There are a total of 1847 comments, with 2.1 million likes on the video. Growing frustrated, the girl says that the number of haters has significantly increased lately. She believes they are simply jealous of Yu's skills. Annoyed by their skepticism, she hastily types an angry comment, accusing them of not understanding anything and calling them all envious. While typing the comment, she pauses for a bit and stares silently at the screen. She hopes that he is not actually a scammer and prays that it is not an apology video. As she taps on the video, a text shows up on the screen reading, "If you don't hunt, you will die." Bro actually got a banger intro for his video. This is a POV video that starts at the edge of a building. The scene amazes the girl. It feels so immersive that she thinks she is actually with him inside the video. A bright flash appears, and he suddenly jumps off the building. The girl fails to understand what is happening and screams in fear. Tears well up in her eyes as she quickly opens them again, looking around with confusion. Holding both hands out in front of her, she stares at him with uncertainty. He turns slightly, and she gazes at his face with admiration, wondering if these are truly the powers of a superhuman. He takes the full force of the attack directly on his stomach, spreading his arms as a bright flash lights up everything around him. A monster suddenly appears in front of him. Looking at the monster from this close, she can tell that it is truly extraordinary. Yu uses his spider webs to get away from the monster. Meanwhile, the girl continues watching as she thinks that it all looks too cool. Yu kicks the monster in the face with full force and follows up with several more strikes. The girl clenches her fists, thinking that this is thrilling. She wonders if she is witnessing a true battle between extraordinary abilities and alien species. Everything about it feels real, and she is certain that such events cannot be faked. Our boy jumps from the rooftop directly toward the monster, locking eyes with it. In that instant, he realizes that he truly is a fighter from the northern capital. A loud crash follows and the monster is completely destroyed. The green liquid left behind drips from Yu's hands. He stops beside the defeated creature and uses his Shadow Devour skill. The girl stands silently behind him, watching everything unfold. She wonders if he has really absorbed another being, and wonders if his spiderweb ability came from absorbing the spider he previously fought. She questions if he will gain new abilities from this. Back at home, Jung throws his clothes into the laundry basket and stands in front of a mirror. Looking at the wound on his face, he mutters that the pain is quite intense. He wraps a bandage around his torso and admits to himself that the alien species in this area are very strong. If they had not been injured, he might not have survived. Suddenly, his phone vibrates with a notification. He turns to look and sees another video from the blogger Didao, who tried exposing him earlier. The man greets his viewers and announces that today's video will once again feature Yu. He claims that this time, everything looked extremely realistic, but he was still able to identify his modifications. As he plays the video, he points out that the monster is seriously injured and explains that in this state, they become incredibly weak. This means that anyone with energy could have defeated the monster. He questions why Yu would go after such an easy target if he is truly extraordinary. Jiang watches the screen in silence before deciding to close the video and turn off his phone. He finds that guy annoying and repulsive. Lying back on the couch, he thinks about his current strength and realizes that it is still not enough to deal with first-grade alien species. His eyes suddenly open with determination as he decides to become stronger, so strong that no one will ever dare to doubt him again. Clenching his hand into a fist, he prepares himself for what lies ahead. The system displays his current characteristics, indicating that his shadow points remains at full capacity with 32 out of 32 points. He also has new abilities such as Shadow Weave, which he got from the spider, and Shadow Claw, which he got from the last monster he killed. The system rating shows that he looks strong but is actually weak. This makes him mad, and he says that it is the system's abilities that are weak. He claims that he is now 100 times stronger than his girlfriend and can even take 50 of his uncles. Despite this, he knows it is not enough. He has gained some new skills in his previous battles. Jing thought that shadow points were like experience points, but they are more similar to energy points. All of his abilities consume shadow points based on their level. Moreover, his shadow form also consumes shadow points based on his environment. If he uses that ability in the shadow world, it won't consume any points, however it will consume a small amount of points if he uses it in the real world but at night. If he uses the ability during daylight, it will consume a huge amount of shadow points. He uses the shadow points to recover his body and thinks about the incoming marital exam. He guesses that most of the people giving these tests will be equal to 1 to 3 shadow points of what he possesses. This means that even if he doesn't get stronger, he still has enough strength to defeat them. He knows that his continuous boasting is gaining a lot of attraction, but he doesn't want to stay humble. Instead, he decides to showcase his power in the exam. He starts laughing, saying that his uncle is supporting him, so he has nothing to fear. The guy living on the floor underneath looks at him and thinks that he has gone mad. The next day, he sits in a mall looking like he is about to pass out. His girlfriend told him that it would only take 1 hour, but she has been shopping since morning. He leans on his friend and says that he will die if he continues to waste his days like this. His friend pushes him away and asks him not to say stuff like this at the start of the new year since it might bring bad luck. Jiang looks back at him and says that he is not joking. If he doesn't hunt, he will actually die. This makes his friend a bit concerned, and he asks him what he means. Jiang suddenly looks back at his girlfriend and says that it was nothing. The four of them decide to go to a restaurant to eat something. Jiang assures them that he will choose a restaurant that caters to everyone's preferences. After some time, they find themselves in a cafe with a menu filled with dishes like garlic oysters, steamed oysters, and fried onions. The girls look at it in confusion, while Yao Yao questions whether this is really the cafe that caters to everyone's preferences. The green-haired girl confirms it, but comments that the place seems more suited for male students. Zhang glances at the menu and informs the waiter that he has recently been injured and needs to recover lost energy. He orders toast, soy sauce, fried rice, and egg soup. The waiter takes note of his order and reassures him that it is a great choice. Yao Yao, with a smirk, expresses her surprise at his selection, expecting something more unique. Zhang admits that the dishes are quite ordinary, and then requests larger and fresher oysters. The waiter is shocked after hearing this and stares at him in disbelief. After some time, the waiter brings their food and wishes them an enjoyable meal. Jiang offers the food to his girlfriend, telling her that there is no need to be hungry, but she refuses it. At that moment, a message arrives on her phone, announcing that the martial arts exam has been rescheduled. The test date has been moved up, and the test will gradually begin on the 17th of February. The tests will likely end on the 20th of the same month, and the specialized training camp will open on the 25th of the same month. Her friend reacts with surprise and asks if this is really true since the martial arts exam seems mandatory. The other friend tells them that they will have to take the qualifications test after the end of the year days, which makes it more complicated and annoying. Zhang reassures them, casually patting one of them on the shoulder and remarking that their qualifications are not high enough to worry about it. The friend sarcastically thanks him for the comment. He then shares a story from his past, recalling how he was chased by a specter from the alien species when he was just 7 years old. By the time the night patrol arrived and defeated the creature, he had fallen ill and suffered many psychological disturbances as a result. With a grin, Zhang confidently declares that he could have easily fought off that member of the alien species if he was in his place. My man turned into Pinocchio. Yao Yao, unimpressed, asks him if he really thinks everyone is stupid like him. She points out that not everyone shares his confidence. Most people adopt the mentality of escape. She says that it is a good thing since the effects of the events caused by the alien species remain engraved in their hearts. All of them fall silent for a few seconds. Their table remains full of uneaten food as Zhang and Yao Yao exchange glances. Eventually, he spreads his arms and tells them that there is no need to be so serious and they should offer a toast. Before he can complete his gesture, a sudden, deafening noise erupts, causing everyone in the cafe to jump from their seats in fear. Turning toward the source of the disturbance, Yao Yao recognizes the sound as a pollution siren. The alarm means that the alien species has invaded the commercial center. Panic spreads quickly, leaving many people frozen in terror. A man shouts for everyone to evacuate, and chaos ensues as the crowd rushes toward the exits. Desperate voices beg those ahead to move faster, while others, overwhelmed with fear, cry out that the danger is already too close. Amidst the panic, only Jiang, Yao Yao, and their friends remain still, watching the unfolding situation. The guy looks at the people in worry as they try to push each other to get out. The green-haired girl looks at her phone for an update and asks them what they should do. Yao Yao, after a brief moment of thought, advises everyone to stay calm and move toward the exit in an orderly manner. Before they can move, they hear Zhang's voice telling them to move out of the way. Before she can understand, Zhang suddenly punches the wall, creating a massive hole. The unexpected action leaves everyone around them stunned, especially Yao Yao, who stands there and watches it in shock. Zhang waves at her and asks why she is still standing there. They need to run. Without hesitation, the group rushes toward the new exit, hastily created by his own hands. Moving carefully, he scans the surroundings when he spots someone running in the opposite direction. The person shouts an alarm, insisting that someone else is there, before disappearing into the crowd. A bright red glow flickers, setting off a wave of unease. Zhang immediately realizes the monster is nearby. With so many people around, turning into his shadow form here would expose everything. Without thinking, he grabs Yao Yao's hand, pulling her along. Panic spreads through the crowd, and gasps of fear fill the air as people struggle to catch their breath. A voice yells for them to run, but Yao Yao hesitates, questioning how the alien species were able to breach the commercial center as the defense forces were supposed to be close by. Zhang shakes his head, saying it's too late to think about that now, they just have to escape. He says that they are lucky as the people were able to evacuate, otherwise they could have had a major massacre inside the commercial center. Pointing to the side, he signals the way out. As the group reaches the exit, he suddenly stops. With a panicked expression, he tells everyone to hold on to him tightly as the place is about to collapse. Before anyone can react, the entire place crumbles and they all scream in terror. They grasp onto each other, but it's too late. Together they all fall down. Zhang struggles to his feet, wincing from the pain. Looking around, he checks on the others. Yao Yao, rubbing her chin, assures him they're mostly fine, just some scratches. They suddenly hear the voice of the other friend who screams in pain as he thinks his leg is broken. They notice him sitting in the distance with a heavy concrete block pinning his leg. Jiang hurries over, gripping an iron rod jutting from the rubble. He reassures his injured friend, promising to help. With a determined effort, he lifts the slab, freeing the trapped leg. The injured one groans, but the weight is gone. Yao Yao hands him some pills, instructing him to take them as they should ease the pain. He swallows them quickly, still shaken, and glances around in fear. The guy starts sweating and asks them where they are. He feels like he is in a dark place. Yao Yu is surprised hearing this and says that she has never seen such a situation. Kneeling down, Zhang places a palm against the ground. He knows that this is the floor of the commercial center and guesses that they are in the basement. However, his expression suddenly changes. Something feels wrong. As dark energy swirls around his hand, he recognizes something. This sensation, it's too familiar. His breath catches. He thinks to himself, if they have all been pulled into the shadow layer. All around them, voices of distress fill the air. People cry out, some injured, others simply terrified. A small girl clings to her father while crying. The father soothes her, assuring her that the night patrol will come to their rescue. Zhang gets worried looking at all this. He knows that this is bad since too many people are trapped inside the shadow layer. There is no way to move within the shadow layer, which means the night patrol will take longer to arrive. If they stay here for a long time, even if they aren't attacked by the alien species, the pollution here can kill them. He knows that he has to get everyone out of here quickly. Thinking fast, he turns to Yao Yao and asks if she is wearing the watch given to her by her dad. Her eyes widen as she looks at the watch and she tells him that she forgot about it. The entire group gets a new ray of hope and they all start smiling. Pressing a button, she explains that the device can send a distress signal, which will alert the Night Patrol Division. The green-haired girl gets a bit too excited and says that Yao Yao has saved them with her intelligence. Even as the others celebrate, Zhang remains deep in thought. He isn't sure if the signal will speed up the rescue. Still, the watch should fend off the pollution for a while. The alien species may attack them at any moment now, so he can't lower his guard. Just as he prepares to activate his shadow abilities, the floor shakes violently. A new wave of terror surges through everyone as monstrous figures emerge from the darkness. Zhang looks at the creatures as he realizes that they have finally arrived. The shaking gets more tense and his friends start to scream in panic. He, on the other hand, remains calm and stares directly at the aliens with a smirk. After the smoke clears, Yao Yao starts coughing. She calls out for her friends, asking them where they are. The green-haired friend quickly moves to her side, steadying her shoulders, reassuring her that she's here. Through the swirling smoke, the other friend calls out to them and asks them where they are. Yao Yao continues searching for Jiang and calls out his name. Suddenly, her friend gasps and points to a huge crack in the ground. Yao Yao's heart pounds as she asks her if he really fell down there. Destruction surrounds them, debris scattered in every direction. The white-haired girl, struggling to move, crawls out from beneath the rubble. Sitting on the ground, she looks around in confusion, trying to recall what happened. As she touches her head, the memories come rushing back. She had gone out shopping with Xiaoya when the alarm suddenly sounded, causing everyone to panic and run. Turning side to side, she desperately calls out for her friend. Her hand unexpectedly bumps into something. When she looks, her breath catches. Xiaoya's mutilated body lies beside her. A tremor runs through her and tears well up in her eyes. She stammers, struggling to process the sight, unable to believe what she is seeing. At that moment, a dark figure appears behind her. A claw swings toward her, and as she turns, realization strikes. This is how she dies. The thought of facing death in such a way never crossed her mind. She once believed such terrifying moments belonged only in films. She thinks to herself that if she was a movie heroine, the hero would rush to save her, or at least someone would try to help her. However, that is impossible since this is reality and no one is coming to save her. In the real world, there are no heroes. Bracing herself for the inevitable, she closes her eyes. Blood splatters onto the stone ground. When she opens her eyes, she sees a dark silhouette standing before her. Breathing heavily, she wipes away her tears and looks up in shock. It is Jiang, the same guy she saw in the YouTube videos. He firmly grips the monster's claw with one hand, holding it back with ease. My man trying to riz her up. Hope flickers in her eyes as she wonders if he is a hero. Without hesitation, he throws the monster into the abyss. As she observes him more closely, she recognizes him. It is really him. A system notification appears, indicating that Shadow Claw, when combined with the assassin's ability, increases attack lethality. Jiang activates the skill and swiftly leaps at the monster. With a powerful strike, he sends it flying, but the creature quickly stabilizes itself, digging its claws into the ground to halt its momentum. It breathes heavily with its eyes locked onto him. The girl, unable to contain her excitement, claps her hands, overcome with enthusiasm. The whole scene feels surreal, as if she is dreaming. She stutters as she mentions that he is the assassin. Zhongyu notices her excitement, and before he can react, she rushes to him, snapping photos and eagerly grabbing his hand. She expresses her admiration, telling him how she has watched all his videos and finds him incredibly impressive. However, he calls her a little girl and tells her that her stockings and dress are all torn apart. Realizing this, she hesitates before stepping back, suddenly self-conscious. She asks if her appearance bothers him. He quickly reassures her that it is nothing, but she playfully insists that if he dislikes it, she can always go home and change into something better. Our boy gets a bit carried away and asks her if the dress will be made of silk. The girl tells him not to focus on the silk as she will also bring him some spicy chicken. Meanwhile, the monster, watching their exchange, grows impatient, letting out a menacing growl. Noticing this, Zhang's expression turns serious. He tells her that they can discuss the details of the dress later. With a sudden shift in demeanor, he leaps forward, declaring that the hunt has begun. The monster, looking around in confusion, struggles to track his movements. Then, without warning, something strikes the back of its head. Zhang lands nearby, gripping a weighted rope he just used to attack. The monster lunges at him, but he swiftly dodges and lands gracefully on the ground. Behind him, the creature lets out a frustrated roar. Assessing the situation, Zhang realizes that he is still lacking in strength and precision, otherwise he would have killed the alien in a single strike. Without hesitation, he dashes forward, determined to strike again. As he prepares to counter the next attack, he suddenly stops as he gets attacked by two other monsters. He manages to block the attack and steps back. The monsters laugh as they outnumber him. Looking at the monsters, he realizes that it might be a bit difficult to deal with them this time. The white-haired girl, still filming, cheerfully wishes him luck and promises that if he wins, she will show him something cool. Hearing this, Jiang's face flushes with excitement and he turns red. He quickly regains focus, pushing forward with renewed determination, insisting that everything is for their sake. He quickly jumps up in the air to dodge the attack of one of the monsters. However, as he is still in the air, another monster tries attacking him. Since his body is still suspended, he knows he can't dodge the attack. Thinking fast, he swings his claw, releasing a blue rope that wraps around the creature's limb. Using the momentum, he slashes, delivering a fatal hit. The monster falls, lifeless. Turning to the remaining monster, Zhang smirks. He is confident that they will not succeed in killing him. However, before he can do anything, another monster sneaks up on him from behind and strikes him in the shoulder, which causes him to bleed. Blood seeps from the wound, and he quickly jumps back, clutching it in shock. He can't believe that the monsters have the intelligence to cooperate with each other. While two of the monsters were busy trying to restrain him, the other one was focused on attacking. He knows that he can't win if they continue fighting like this. He needs to find a way to take out one of them first. Thinking this, he fires at one of the monsters, but it swiftly dodges by tilting its head. He frowns, wondering if it saw the attack coming. Before he can react, all three monsters charge at him at once, surrounding him from all sides. He tries to evade their blows, but they keep him from retreating into the shadows. His health drops to 45% as he continues getting hit. Realizing he can't keep fighting like this, he pushes forward while deflecting attacks. He knows he must lure them away. Just as he moves, one of them strikes his back, and his health plummets to 35%. Determined, he activates the mark, which is one of his skills that forces the target into fear for a few seconds. Thanks to his last video, his bad reputation grew, which extended the time of this ability to 3 seconds. The timer starts and the monsters are feared. Zhang takes advantage of this and starts eliminating one of them. He approaches the monster from behind and finishes it off. The timer finally reaches 3 seconds, but he has already finished the job. As he stands above the fallen corpse, the system informs him that the hunt was a success. As a reward, his shadow form grows stronger, reducing the energy needed for his abilities. In the shadow layer, his recovery and energy absorption improves. He immediately heals his deep wound and looks at his clawed hands. He then turns towards the other monsters and says that it's their turn now. The two remaining monsters stare at him in fear. His health climbs back to 55%, and dark energy radiates from him. He taunts them, asking why they are afraid of coming near him when they were just trying to kill him a few moments ago. If they won't attack, he will. Just as he moves, bright rays of light suddenly appear. He halts, confused. Where is this light coming from in the shadow layer? Blue sparks flicker around him, and a strange pull urges him toward the light. The others notice it too and let out loud growls. At that moment, the night patrol arrives, led by Commander Song Ching-an. In his hand, he holds the eternal flame, which is used to disperse shadows and can serve as a good source of illumination. Extending his hand, he releases a stream of green energy and silently points at Jiang. Jiang, slightly uneasy, asks what's going on. He shouts at them, trying to assure them that he is on their side. A monster lunges at Song Ching-an, but without looking, he sends the green blast upward, killing it instantly. Jiang watches in shock as he realizes that the guy killed the monster in a single strike. He wonders if this is the true strength of the night patrol. He knows that if the attack he aimed at him a few moments ago hit his body, it would have killed him instantly. He walks up to one of the squad members and smirks, telling them that they have come late as the battle is about to end. The man in dark glasses apologizes for the delay and asks who he is. Jiang brushes it off, saying it doesn't matter who he is. He points at a white-haired girl and tells them that they should take care of her as she is injured. The girl looks at him in shock as she reminds him that he was supposed to send her back home. He turns to her with a salute and says that he was just joking. As a member of the Night Guard, duty always comes first for him. Just before fading into the shadows, he adds that he's leaving her in their care. The girl calls him by his online name and urges him to stop, but he's already gone. Ching-an asks one of his guys if they have anyone by that name on record. The man explains that Yu is well known on a certain platform. He wields shadow abilities but isn't particularly strong, likely just a level 1. Ching-an doesn't believe this. He says that he has a flame in his hand and asks the guy if there can be any shadows nearby. Moreover, he vanished in front of everyone, which is not something someone at level 1 can do. Looking down at the sobbing girl, he decides to send her back for now. After that, they will start investigating Yu properly. Meanwhile, Yao Yao, making her way through the battlefield, anxiously calls out for Jiang. She shines a light from her watch, stammering as she hopes that nothing bad has happened to him. Suddenly, his voice breaks the silence as he calls out to her from behind. She turns, startled, and sees him buried under a pile of stones. He weakly calls for help, saying that he can feel the tightness in his chest, and that he can't breathe. Rushing over, she reassures him, telling him to hold on while she removes the debris. As she reaches for him, he grabs her hand and tells her that he can't hold on any longer, so she should just pull him directly. She asks him how she can safely pull him out with this much pressure from the rocks. However, as she uses a bit of effort, Jiang comes out of the rubble. She looks at him in silence as she realizes that something is not right. She points towards the rubble and asks him if this stone isn't the one holding him. Jiang laughs and tells her that he could have gotten out by himself, but maybe he was just afraid that his body wouldn't move. Her eyes narrow as she examines his back. There's a deep wound. She asks him if it was also caused by the stone. He responds again, saying that he doesn't know, though in his mind, he knows that the stone didn't do anything and the wound was left by the monster. He asks her about their friends. She then explains with a smile that the rescue was carried out by the night patrol, and because of that, Feng Xiaoxiao and Liu Yuqiang were taken away. He asks for clarification, wondering if she has stayed behind just to find him. Yao Yao, feeling embarrassed, turns away and crosses her arms before replying. She insists that if something were to happen to him, she wouldn't be able to face his uncle. Her words leave him speechless, and tears begin to form in his eyes. Overcome with emotion, he suddenly hugs her. Yao Yao is completely taken aback by his reaction, but she quickly starts hitting him, demanding that he let her go. However, Zhang Yu continues holding on. He tells her that he just saw many strange creatures carrying large knives and cutting everywhere. He says that he is scared and needs to hug her to feel safe, but she remains frustrated and asks him to get away. Suddenly, the two of them hear a voice drawing their attention. A green-haired girl, holding a lantern, approaches and asks them if they are okay since she heard a scream. Yao Yao immediately shoves Zhang away and assures her that everything is fine. He quickly agrees, backing up her claim. The girl expresses relief and asks them to follow her as she will lead them out of there. Just as they are about to leave, Zhang suddenly cries out. Yao Yao, now concerned, asks what happened. He wipes away his tears and reassures her that it's nothing. At that moment, a realization dawns on him. He had completely forgotten to absorb the shadow points from the creatures he had defeated. The next morning, inside the Night Patrol headquarters, Zhang is being interrogated. He sits in the interrogation room with a girl named Li Yuan, who is an officer of the Night Patrol. He tells her that his name is Jiang and he is 18 years old. The entire conversation is being recorded. The girl then asks him if he started his school this year, and he confirms it. She tells him that the recent incident has affected him quite a lot. According to standard procedure, individuals involved in the incident must receive psychological treatment and medication from a Night Patrol office, and the effects of this treatment will last for a month. She looks at him and explains that during this period, if the military exam is conducted, the evaluation grade for the qualification test will decrease significantly. Hearing this, Zhang asks her if he can just skip the treatment since he feels mentally well. The girl elaborates, warning him that contamination effects can remain hidden, and by the time symptoms appear, it might be too late. Because of this, treatment is mandatory. He tells her that he has less than 10 days left until the military exam and says that it might create a conflict with the timing. She reassures him that there's no need to worry, as similar incidents have happened in the past, and the Night Patrol has developed policies to accommodate such cases. If needed, individuals can apply in advance for special considerations. Curious about the process, Jiang listens as she places a document in front of him and instructs him to have his parents or guardian sign it. Preliminary testing, she explains, is conducted during night patrols, with results recorded in the system. The procedure is structured like an exam, using the same equipment and ensuring fairness. The Night Patrol also guarantees safety in case of unexpected complications. Zhang calmly informs her that his guardian is his uncle, who also works for the Night Patrol. Hearing this, the girl comments that this simplifies matters and asks for his uncle's name. Zhang hesitates before responding and reveals that his uncle works in the East Zone 1 in a regular administrative position. He tells her that his uncle is Li Shengguang. At the mention of this name, Yuan leans forward in excitement and asks him if he is talking about Li from the Mu family. She asks him if Shun means 3 dots and Guang means brightness. When Zhang nods in confusion, she questions whether he is sure his uncle is in a regular administrative position. Puzzled, he asks if that isn't the case. He thinks that he might have been fired and being interrogated, so he tells her that he hasn't reported him yet. The girl laughs and reassures him that nothing is wrong. She does not explain further. After organizing the documents, she tells him that she can take him directly to his uncle and instructs him to follow. Soon, they enter a large 3-story building with a glass-domed ceiling, passing by rows of military uniforms, weapons, and holograms. She reminds him to stay close. Zhang, eager to take in his surroundings, acknowledges her instructions. He wonders if this unusual-looking place is their headquarters. As they walk, 2 military personnel pass by. One of them, a green-haired young man, questions whether Jiang is part of the Night Patrol. The other soldier confirms that multiple background checks have been conducted, and he has no known records in their system. Zhang overhears their conversation, his eyes widening in shock. Yuan, noticing his reaction, asks if something is wrong. He hesitates before brushing it off, explaining that it's his first time in the building, and he feels a little uneasy. Inside, he is getting a bit worried since the Night Patrol has started investigating him. Upon reaching the door, Yuan informs him that he should wait and rest while she goes to look for Li Shengguang. Once inside the room, Zhang looks around in surprise. Yao Yao and Feng Xiaoxiao are already there. It seems like Yao Yao is still talking to the white-haired girl. She stands up from her seat and asks her if she really met the assassin. The white-haired girl proudly confirms that she did and even credits him for saving her. Zhang, observing the white-haired girl, wonders why she is there as well. Meanwhile, Yao Yao quickly turns to him, gestures toward the chair next to hers, and urges him to sit. Once he does, she turns her attention back to the white-haired girl and asks her what happened after she met you. She describes how she saw him fight 10 monsters at once. He was calm and serious, and in 1 second when the shadow sword appeared, he decapitated all the strange monsters. She continues her story and mentions that when he was fighting the strange creatures and couldn't hold on anymore, members of the Night Patrol department arrived. However, he disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind a glorious performance of his actions. Zhang listens to her story and thinks she is exaggerating too much, as most of those things didn't even happen. Noticing her stockings, he smirks and decides to forgive her for her choice. Yao Yao, after listening thoughtfully, asks who this person is. She mentions that he doesn't seem like a member of the Night Patrol. The girl points out that he seems like a student, just like them. Curious, she asks where this information comes from. The white-haired girl, twirling a strand of her hair, explains that his words, actions, and intuition all suggest it. Most importantly, she adds, he has a particular fondness for a girl's socks which are transparent and snug. She then points at Zhang and says that he is exactly like him. Zhang, surprised, tries to clarify, but before he can, Yao Yao suddenly grabs him by the hair and raises her fist, telling him that his character hasn't changed one bit. He stutters in response and tries to stand up when Lu suddenly rushes into the room. Seeing her father, she asks in confusion what's going on. Breathing heavily, he asks if she's okay and if it's true that she entered the shadow layer. Yao Yao pinches Zhang's cheeks and tells him that everything is fine and nothing has happened to them. She assures him that Zhang is fine too, but his body is itching a bit. Her father nods with a smile and, since everyone is safe, tells them to follow him. A while later, they are sitting in a small office. Yao Yao asks him if the situation is serious this time. He confirms it and says that this is the first time in history that an entire store has fallen into the shadow layer. The number of victims is still being counted, but thankfully, no one was hurt. Due to this incident, he informs them that their test will be conducted earlier than planned. As he speaks, he reaches for a cigarette but stops when he sees Lu Yao Yao's disapproving look. He starts explaining to them the test and mentions that it is divided into 2 stages. The first stage is the ability test and the second stage is the willpower test. He puts his cigarette back on the table and says that the ability test is also called the initial awakening test, where students are exposed to contamination to awaken their abilities. This test is relatively low risk as it determines students' specialties based on the characteristics of their abilities. After that, there's the willpower qualification test, where their willpower and mental strength will determine their success or failure. He leans forward with a serious expression and reveals that the final test is what determines if they are extraordinary or not. Zhang asks him if this means that willpower is the key to the second test. The stronger someone's willpower, the more chances of them being successful. Lu's father shakes his head and clarifies that it's not that simple. Some people can endure extreme pain, like losing an arm, yet their qualifications remain average. Others, who seem carefree or foolish, sometimes show the greatest potential. Willpower isn't just measured solely by endurance, it also encompasses believing in goodness, resisting evil, and adapting to pollution. In short, it's a complex matter. Zhang raises his hand, asking if specific thoughts can affect willpower. Lu's father, puzzled, asks why he's suddenly curious. Yao Yao, irritated, gives an example. What if someone constantly thinks about a girl's legs? Zhang, embarrassed, realizes she is talking about him. Lu's father, ignoring the joke, explains that it only has a slight effect on willpower. The thoughts of a person relating to integrity don't have a significant positive impact on positive outcomes. On the other hand, if someone has negative thoughts and their heart is steeped in evil, the test results will be nothing but bad. Zhang, suddenly worried, asks why that is. Lu's father sternly replies that evil thoughts attract evil. Negative emotions contribute to pollution, and if left unchecked for too long, the corruption becomes overwhelming. If they have negativity in their hearts, they must find a way to release it. Suppressing them within will only lead to confusion, and there is nothing worse than that. Zhang thinks seriously about this for a moment, and wonders if having negative feelings is a normal thing. He soon realizes that he needs to go to the club so he can clear his dirty mind. Lu Yao Yao watches him silently. Meanwhile, Lu's father gets up from the table and tells them that they need to go back and that someone else will come to take them for the test later. As he reaches the door, he casually mentions to Jiang that his uncle won't be back anytime soon as he has been assigned a task. He mentions that he has already signed all the necessary documents for him. Jiang smiles and apologizes for the trouble, but Lu's father reassures him that there's no need to worry. They should just go with the flow. Zhang gives him a salute and agrees. Yao Yao, putting on a serious expression, also says she understands. Later, the white-haired girl greets them with a smile, asking if they're back. As they sit at a round table, Yao Yao asks where the others are. The girl points to the side, explaining that they went to complete the formal procedures with their families. When asked why she didn't leave too, she explains that her parents are busy with business. Just a few days ago, they left the city and haven't returned yet. She just had a call with them a little while ago and they managed to complete the procedures remotely. Suddenly, Yuqian's voice fills the room as he announces that everyone is present. The others turn to see him in a wheelchair with a splint on his leg, carried by Xiao Xiao. Holding a glass of coffee in one hand, he excitedly mentions how incredible it is that they sprayed something on his leg and all the pain went away. Zhang approaches him and points out that he is injured, questioning whether he truly intends to take the test. Yao Yao also asks if anything is bothering him. However, he reassures them that there is no need to worry, as he has been informed that his injury will not affect the results. Xiao Xiao, with a sly smile, pats him on the shoulder and jokes that despite his confident demeanor, he was crying in the corner just moments ago. Yu Qian quickly protests, insisting that he was not crying. At that moment, the door opens again, and a group of young people enters with sorrowful expressions. The blonde man at the front even wipes away his tears. Curious about their sadness, Zhang asks why they look so downcast. Yao Yao, looking at them with sympathy, remarks that they simply want to live a peaceful life, but after the test, significant changes are likely to occur. Yen steps forward and, after confirming that everyone is gathered, announces that it is time to begin. She explains that the test is divided into two parts: ability testing and willpower assessment. The ability test evaluates their potential for development, destructive power, and capacity to utilize their skills. Abilities are categorized into 4 levels: low, medium, high, and advanced. The willpower test, on the other hand, measures their resistance to external influences, with results indicated by 6 different colors: white, green, blue, purple, red, and orange. In previous years, individuals with level 1 abilities were not required to take the test, but this time, participation is mandatory for everyone. Their potential to become special is assessed at every stage of their growth. She emphasizes that with strong willpower, even if the ability is weak, there might be a chance of acceptance. However, if one's willpower is weaker than their abilities and their qualifications are not in line with their requirements, they will only be able to work in the civil service. With that, she shuts the folder with a decisive motion and instructs them to follow her outside. As all the applicants wait in the room, Jiang, standing by the glass, notices a man in the next room standing beside a covered object. Suddenly, a loud voice from the speakers calls Xiao Xiao and instructs her to step forward into the room. Startled, she responds hesitantly before stepping forward. As the doors open, the voice reassures her that there is nothing to worry about. She looks back at her friends with a worried expression and decides to move forward, saying that she is ready. As she enters the room, she meets the man standing next to that strange object. Those in the waiting area press against the glass, watching closely. Without warning, the man pulls away the cloth, revealing a massive, sparkling diamond. He then signals for the test to begin. The light above the entrance switches from green to red, and the room darkens. Yu Qian wonders what they are doing and asks if it is really necessary for them to turn off the lights for the test. Yao Yao, also observing carefully, speculates that this is a test of willpower. Meanwhile, Zhang stares in silence as he thinks to himself how familiar he has gotten with the darkness. He has been spending a lot of time in the shadow layer. In the dimly lit room, Xiao Xiao stands still, and Yu, watching from the outside, notices something unusual. There is a stone on her foot, and it seems to glow. It seems like she is facing some intense resistance, and wonders if the glowing stone is doing that. Moments later, the bright light suddenly returns, causing everyone to squint. As Xiao Xiao leaves the room, Yao Yo rushes over to her, eager to hear about her experience. Yu Qian also asks if she has completed the test. However, she shakes her head, explaining that she lacks the necessary willpower. Despite years of training, she has never managed to improve in this area. Yu Qian points at her and expresses his disbelief and questions how this is possible. He didn't know that she wanted to become special and had put in so much effort. She admits that she tried, but nothing worked. Just then, another announcement calls for him to take the test. Instantly, his expression changes to one of concern. As he makes his way to the door, he keeps repeating to himself that he does not want to be special and wishes for this not to happen. Watching him leave, Xiao Xiao remarks that he has nothing to worry about since he won't pass the test anyway. After some time, the red light outside the room turns green. Yu Qian reappears looking stunned. He mutters in disbelief that he has actually passed. Xiao Xiao, shocked by the revelation, reacts with surprise. They sit down next to each other, and Xiao Xiao, still upset, repeats how much she wanted to pass but failed. Yu Qian, on the other hand, had not wanted to take the test but has succeeded. Observing them, Yao Yao sighs in frustration and comments on how unexpected life can be. Meanwhile, the voice from the speakers calls Yao Yao's name, signaling her turn. Taking a deep breath, she turns to Jiang with a smile and says that she will see him later. As she steps into the testing area, she crosses her arms and focuses. Streams of red energy begin to radiate from her, and the stone on her foot emits a brilliant glow. Jiang, watching closely, notices something different. Her stone is turning red, while it is emitting a green light for his fat friend before her. He remembers that willpower is divided into specific colors from levels 1 to 6. His eyes widen in surprise as he realizes that red is level 5. The lamp above the doors turns green, signaling the completion of the test. As soon as she steps out, her friend anxiously asks if the test is over. Yao Yao, still keeping her arms crossed and looking down, confirms with a simple, yes. Standing nearby, Jiang laughs awkwardly and asks if she is exhausted. She struggles to catch her breath but only tells him that he will understand everything once he goes inside. Without hesitation, Jiang rushes toward her and embraces her, jokingly asking why she doesn't give him some motivation. She clenches her teeth, visibly irritated, and pushes him away, telling him to leave her alone. Just then, an announcement is made, calling Jiang the next participant. Excited, he runs toward the door, waves at her, and heads inside. Watching him go, she clenches her fists but still manages a small smile, wishing him good luck. He thanks her and walks inside. As soon as Jiang steps into the room, the lamp above the door turns red. A man approaches him, holding a piece of paper and asks for his name. Jiang confirms his identity, after which the man takes his application and hands him a small test tube with a blue lid. He then asks if Jiang has already awakened his abilities. Jiang nods in confirmation. The man instructs him to drink the liquid. However, as he looks up from the papers, his expression changes to one of surprise, and he questions again whether Jiang has really awakened his abilities. Jiang, having already consumed the liquid, tells him that he woke up naturally. The man, seemingly dismissing any further questions, points toward a stone and a blindfold, stating that they should just start the willpower test directly and instructs him to put it on. Soon, Jiang stands in the middle of the room with the blindfold on. He suddenly feels a presence as the man places both hands on his shoulders. The man reassures him to stay calm and let his instincts guide him. He explains that since Jiang's abilities have awakened, he will soon experience his consciousness separating from his body. There is nothing to fear, he just needs to move ahead. With that, the man pushes him forward, urging him to go. As Jiang steps forward, something feels off. He senses himself falling into an endless void. A blue shimmer surrounds him, and then, in an instant, he lands on a water-like surface. Looking at his hands, he marvels at the strange sensation. His body feels weightless, yet he remains connected to it. Experimenting with his movement, he makes large jumps across the water, enjoying the surreal experience. The man, observing from a distance, watches in bewilderment as Jiang moves erratically, twisting and leaping. He exclaims at how unusual it is but quickly warns him to stop jumping, as it could disrupt the test. Jiang quickly composed himself, acknowledging the warning. He then begins running toward a large glowing stone in the distance. It seems too easy at first, but as he moves forward, he notices a strange change. His body starts sinking. His eyes widen in shock as he realizes that he is being pulled underwater. The deeper he goes, the heavier his body becomes, making it harder to breathe. As he descends further, unfamiliar emotions flood his mind: despair, sadness, and anger. But through clenched teeth, he forces himself to focus. He understands now. He must resist these emotions. Just as he surfaces from the water, a familiar voice calls out his name. Turning around, Jiang is stunned to see his uncle, Li, standing behind him. Confused, he asks him what he is doing here. His uncle looks at him with a firm expression and tells him that he can't be extraordinary by his nature. He will only hurt others and himself. Panic sets in as Jiang turns and runs, shouting that it must be an illusion. But as he looks ahead, Li appears again, blocking his way. He tells him that he must realize his inability to do this. Suddenly, more clones of his uncle show up. They tell him that their great prosperity has collapsed. Mountains and rivers were destroyed by the invasion of the strange creatures, and the world is dangerous. He insists that Jiang could live a happy life without getting involved in such things, and asks why he is so insistent on becoming extraordinary. They point forward and tell him that the extraordinary is not just strong, but they also have a strong willpower. A massive creature appears in front of them, and members of the night patrol run towards it with torches in their hands. The image of his uncle points to these men and asks him if he is really capable of becoming like them. The creature rampages through the city, leaving devastation in its wake. Buildings crumble, stones scatter from the force of its destruction, and lifeless bodies fall from the sky. Jiang watches in horror, covering his head with his hands as the terrifying sight unfolds before him. Amidst the chaos, Li's voice cuts through the air once more. This time, he lights a cigarette and declares that this is the fate of the extraordinary. He asks Jiang if he truly wants to end up like them. He tells him not to deceive himself. He just wants to show off that he is one of them. And this is the truth. More and more copies of his uncle appear, repeating the same words. They compare him to countless teenagers who dream of being heroes, wanting excitement, admiration, and love, yet unwilling to put in the effort. Jiang starts to get overwhelmed by all of these voices. They accuse him of wanting to believe he is different from others, even when he has no real abilities. The realization creeps in. Perhaps he truly isn't special. He clutches his head, sinking to his knees as the illusions around him laugh mockingly. In the distance, he can see a fiery flame, burning brightly amidst the darkness. The night patrol guy who died in the start approaches him with the flame. The images explain to him that the dark side of the world isn't just a hidden layer. Even with the bright sun overhead, there will always be things unseen. This is the hidden world. Jang reaches out, but the guy vanishes, and his torch falls into the water. Once again, terrifying monsters appear in front of him. The voices tell him that the disaster isn't actually facing the dark side, but being extraordinary. The image of his uncle appears again and asks him if he is truly capable of being extraordinary. Hearing this, Jang looks up with a furious expression and clenches his teeth. In reality, he is inside a room, being observed by the night patrol officer, who stands with his arms crossed. The green-haired girl enters and asks about the situation. He smiles and tells her that he is not doing bad, but he has been spinning around all this time. She notes that this is normal, since not everyone can handle the pollution he inherited. The guy agrees, but points out that only people with strong determination can advance. As for Jiang, he still hasn't shown any signs of fatigue. The girl looks to the right and suddenly notices the stone turning red. This shocks the guy who doesn't understand how it is possible. Even though Jiang has not gotten close to the stone, it has already started glowing red. The guy stares at him in disbelief as he can't believe that he has already reached level 5 with that distance. The girl touches his shoulder and wonders if this could be a rank 6 situation. He frowns and tells her that he is not sure since only 15 people have been able to reach that level so far. Jiang steps forward, and the guy watches, unable to comprehend what's happening. As Jiang gets closer, the light seems to be fading. He quickly asks the girl to check his wristband for any errors. The girl assures him that the data is correct. The guy is still in disbelief since the closer Jiang moves to the stone, the stronger his willpower should be. However, with each step, it seems like his willpower is getting weaker. Jiang continues moving cautiously, reaching out toward the stone. The guy, still confused, questions if this is some kind of joke. Even someone at rank 6 shouldn't be able to do this. Yet, at that moment, Jiang finally places his hand on the stone. A bright yellow light radiates from it, and a black vortex appears in the sky. A voice echoes in Jiang's mind, telling him that he shouldn't seek to be special. He should think about his life, his friends, and the people he cares about. Suddenly, Yao Yao appears before him, offering her hand with a warm smile. He takes it, and the voice reminds him that this is where he belongs. Jiang finally talks to the voice and says it is enough. The illusion shatters and he is back in the room. He comments that it was talking in his ear and wonders if it was part of the test. He smiles and wishes that he at least should have been offered all the girls. Inside that strange vortex, he starts walking towards his uncle, who now seems a bit anxious. Jiang admits that at first he was a bit scared and even a bit resentful. At first, he only wanted to be seen as a hero, without truly caring about anything else. But in this world, there are no superheroes, only ordinary people who succeed through their dedication and hard work. It is thanks to their silent efforts that led to the peace and stability they enjoy today. He reaches out to grab the torch and mentions that he has already enjoyed peace once before. The entire atmosphere lights up as Jiang says that this time, he doesn't want to hide under others' shelter anymore. He raises the flame and announces that he wants to become the eternal flame for others. His uncle stares at him in shock as he claims that he wants to light up the darkness. The scene changes to the office where Lu's assistant approaches him with documents, reporting that the ground collapse incident had affected the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors of the shopping center. The 5th floor was also damaged, though not entirely. About 850 people were involved. 700 were trapped in the shadow layer. Over 650 have been rescued, and the recuse operation is still ongoing. Meanwhile, a group of 30 students who are about to take a self-defense arts exam will be divided into multiple batches for early screening, followed by immediate elimination of pollution by using light. Lu turns to the guy sitting on the chair and asks him about the pollution assessment department. The guy tells him that the results have already come out, and he has sent the image to him. The report details the presence of shadow creatures with the codename Yu Ling, classified as pollution level 1. The 3 spirits share similar structures, including bones and many artificial traces. Lu's expression changes to shock as the guy reveals that these artificial traces point to them being transformed from humans. The assistant yells in disbelief that this is not possible since the transformation and pollution process varies from person to person and takes various directions. He mentions that it is almost impossible to have 3 incredibly similar transformed beings. Lighting a cigarette, Lu walks to the window and says that someone significant has developed something. He looks outside and says that the people lurking in the shadows can no longer remain hidden. Just then, a bright beam of light appears before him, making him pause in confusion. His cigarette slips from his mouth as he realizes that this light is coming from the extraordinary test room. Rushing toward the testing room, he pushes through the crowd, muttering apologies as he moves past people. He knows that the highest result in the willpower test has always been an orange light. There has never been any mention of gold. As he reaches the room and opens the door, he notices a group of people with confused expressions. The green-haired girl points to the test room and says the name Zhang. Lu's expression twists in shock as his gaze fixes on the brilliant golden light radiating from Zhang's hand. He opens his eyes and turns to see all his friends watching in silence. Later, Lu finds him in the restroom, hands him a bottle of water, and urges him to drink. Jiang accepts it with gratitude and asks about Yao Yao and the others. Lu reassures him that they are resting in the break room and have not been informed of the situation. Lu tells him that he gave him a big surprise. The 5th stage, and even the 6th stage, are understandable, but he managed to pull off something even bigger. Jiang grins and curiously asks if his golden light is legendary and superior to the 6th rank. Lu hesitates before admitting that it is hard to say for certain. He hints that people like him are often subjected to research and observation. Upon hearing this, Jiang chokes on his water. Lu finds his reaction amusing and asks if he is truly afraid. He assures him that they won't dissect him, but someone will still take him for data collection in a bit. His data will be sent to various night patrols and he will be closely monitored. Jiang, still unsettled, questions if the situation is truly that serious. Lu reassures him, patting him on the shoulder and promising to accompany him through a few necessary procedures. Our boy looks down with a smile as he thinks to himself that this is an opportunity for him to show off. In the next scene, he sits in front of a panel of 3 officers answering questions about his name and age. He introduces himself as Jiang and states that he is 18 years old. When asked about his hobbies, he simply replies that he spends his free time reading and playing sports. Outside the room, a crowd has gathered in the corridor, watching the live feed on a screen. Many doubt that an ordinary-looking boy could be responsible for the golden light. Some even speculate that the system has made an error, as golden light does not necessarily signify genius. Meanwhile, 3 serious-looking men in suits observe the interview in silence. When Yu is questioned about his experience during the willpower test, he tells them that he saw countless night patrol members holding torches and advancing. They were moving forward with determination and fighting against a giant creature. In his mind, Jiang thinks that this is all too boring since this is the script prepared by his uncle. He is the Golden Legend and he doesn't want to follow the procedure. Lu then asks what has gone through his mind when he saw the others. He lowers his gaze and admits that he felt a sensation of transcendence. He sensed the weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders, but just as he is about to continue, he stops speaking. Lu urges him to go on. Instead of responding directly, Jiang unexpectedly asks about the map hanging in Lu's office. His question takes his uncle by surprise, but he confirms it. At that moment, Jiang suddenly springs up from his seat, kicks the table, and exclaims that only 5 out of 10 places remain. He insists that their situation is far more complicated than it seems, and that he needs to uncover the truth. Lu watches in bewilderment, unsure of what he is trying to achieve. Jiang then begins gesturing wildly, praying for the youth of Dazhou to break free from the chill. He recalls struggling to ignite a torch, only to fail and become the sole source of light himself. As he speaks, his body once again radiates a brilliant golden glow, causing Lu to hide his face in embarrassment. Lu turns to the panel and apologizes for Jiang's unpredictable behavior. He notices that they are both moved by the scene. They even have tears in their eyes. One of them admits that they had not expected his story to be so emotional. The green-haired girl, wiping away her tears, expresses hope that he will have a bright future in the night patrol. Lu stares in disbelief at what he is witnessing. Someone watching through the camera comments that it isn't surprising. The young man has created the golden light. They speculate that it could be an insight and acknowledge his impressive talent. They think that even all of them combined can't match him. A man at the computer shows satisfaction at the results. Jiang is done with showing off and asks them if they can just let him go home since he still has to go to the club for a massage. They tell him that he is allowed to go home and wait for the notification. Jiang asks in confusion what they mean by the notification. His uncle stands up and clarifies that they are talking about the notification regarding the special training camp. The scene briefly shifts to his shadow form sitting on top of a building with a worried expression. As they step out of the building, Lu reminds him that he had warned him not to draw attention to himself. Now everyone on night patrol knows about him. Jiang, scratching his head, apologizes for the trouble. Lu, still grinning, admits he isn't sure how to handle the situation with Li since he doesn't want him to become extraordinary. He then assures him that it will be fine and reminds him to come back to the special training camp on March 25th. When Jiang asks him about the camp, Lu explains that it consists of several months of specialized training, followed by a martial arts exam. He takes a phone call and tells him not to speak of anything that happened, not even with his girlfriend. With that, Lu leaves and reminds him once again to come back for training. Sitting alone on the rooftop in his shadow form, Jiang opens up the system window. The display informs him that he has only 20 days left to live. Realizing that the exam starts in 2 months and will probably last for several months, he knows that his lifespan is not enough. His best option is to hunt as much as possible to extend his lifespan. As he walks through the street, he suddenly grows cautious. A creature with 27% blood characteristics appears in front of him. It glows faintly green and moves at an incredible speed in an unknown direction. Seizing the opportunity, he quickly dashes after it, blending into the shadows. The creature, sensing his presence, trembles with fear. Moments later, he marks it, causing its mouth to open wide and glow even brighter. Without hesitation, he lunges forward and strikes, unleashing his technique. His magical energy tears into the creature. The system window updates, revealing that the monster is severely wounded and struggling to escape, but it has no chance. Its life ends, and the system registers the successful hunt. His remaining lifespan increases to 22 days, his combat skills improve, and he gains additional shadow points. He exhales in relief as he realizes that he got lucky. Even though he doesn't like scavenging, he thinks that he would have been a fool to not take this one. Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind. Turning cautiously, he sees a man standing in the shadows. The man, wearing a red helmet, demands to know where his creature is. Uneasy, Zhang tries to formulate a response as he is absorbing the shadow points from the creature. The man then pulls out a club and steps forward aggressively, accusing him of being a thief. Confused, Zhang asks what he means. The man, however, insists that he has stolen something from him. Zhang flinches as the man approaches him, but for some reason, he stops. A realization dawns on him. Removing his helmet, he carefully examines his face. The man suddenly bursts into excitement as he realizes that this is the famous internet sensation, Yu. He tells him that he is his biggest fan and has watched all of his videos. Before Jiang can even say anything, he takes out his cell phone and forces him to take a selfie. He also offers to split the creature from earlier as 70 and 30. Jiang asks him what a scavenger means and what he was talking about earlier. He looks back at him in shock and suddenly starts recording a video saying that the famous internet sensation Yu is bullying a poor scavenger and stealing his prey. Jiang shouts at him to stop and asks him to explain. He pulls the guy back forcefully and orders him to explain everything. The guy tells him that scavenger is a slang term, and officially they are known as night watchers, freelance workers. They can register as freelancers as long as they reach a basic intermediate level. Jiang asks him about the compensation for these freelancers. The guy tells him that it's not too much and says that it's only around 6,000 to 7,000. Jiang almost explodes as he hears about how much money freelancers make.